Chapter 5477. The scene in front of them shocked them. However, they were also excited. Although the 6 dragon generals had disappeared, the spirit formation passage had been opened. They could now see the dragon phoenix's ancient coffin. This meant that they could also reach it directly. To be honest, they had never thought that they would see the Dragon Emperor's ancient coffin. After all, this was the Great Earth Emperor's ancient coffin. Buried inside was a great emperor. He was an existence that could sweep through the universe. They didn't dare to face him directly. In fact, even Lin Xian was surprised. He had come to find the treasure this time, but he didn't plan to go all the way. He didn't want to offend a great emperor. However, the situation now was beyond his expectations. Perhaps he could really open the Dragon Emperor's ancient coffin to take a look. Thinking of this, he narrowed his eyes. He wasn't in a hurry to act. Instead, he looked at the Emperor race. The Emperor race knew more about great emperors than them. A few of them were discussing. Their eyes were shining. In the end, they decided to go and take a look. After all, this was a rare opportunity. Even if there was danger, they had extreme weapons and could leave safely. Damn it! How dare you disrespect the Dragon Emperor? Hearing these people's plan, the people from the 1,000 Dragon Court gritted their teeth. They were filled with killing intent. The Gu family elder laughed. Don't be agitated. It's not disrespect. We just want to take a closer look at the Dragon Emperor. That's right, the people from the Purple Mansion also laughed. Friends from the 1,000 Dragon Court, I advise you not to stop them. Otherwise, there will be an extreme battle here. I'm afraid the Dragon Emperor will be affected. Damn it! How dare you threaten us? Long Mu and the others gritted their teeth. They didn't believe that these people had the strength to open the Dragon Emperor's ancient coffin. However, they felt uncomfortable if they got close. After all, everyone below the Great Emperor was an ant. Now that a group of ants wanted to challenge the Great Earth Emperor, how could they tolerate it? However, the Gu family and the Purple Mansion didn't care about the 1,000 Dragon Court's thoughts. They joined forces and walked towards the passage. These people were excited and ecstatic. When the people from the Divine Union saw this, they also took a deep breath. Let's go too. The Crimson Dragon waved its dragon claws. They couldn't fall behind. At the moment when everyone was preparing to enter the tunnel that had been opened, the 7th giant that had been standing beside them the entire time suddenly moved. Endless rumbling sounds came from his body. It was as if he had come back to life. Boom! A huge foot stepped out and landed in front of the 6 tunnels, pressing down. It was like an ancient mountain. Everyone felt their scalps go numb. Damn it! They quickly retreated and dodged the attack. The entire ancient tomb shook violently. Morning mist filled the air and cracks spread all over. Everyone's expression turned ugly. Was he alive? The 7th Dino General had actually revived and stopped them. No one can stop us. The people of the Gu family roared and used their void divine ability to quickly rush forward. The Fire Qilin and the Kuan Peng race also attacked at the same time. However, with a sweep of the long spear, these people were all sent flying. The Monarch clan expert spat out large mouthfuls of blood, his face full of fear. The experts of the Golden Crow tribe also roared. A quasi-emperor, this is a quasi-emperor. The others also felt their scalps go numb. That's right. The 7 great dragon generals were all boundary emperors. 6 of them had disappeared, but they would not be able to stop the remaining one. Impossible, Kuan Pengzi was shocked. Even the great emperors couldn't survive. How could a boundary emperor like him still be alive? The people of the Gu family also said, could it be that he was also a puppet? The moment these words were said, everyone was terrified. Even a boundary emperor had become a puppet? Was this the method of a great emperor? It was too heaven-defying. I, the 7th Dragon General under the Dragon Emperor, guard the Dragon Emperor tomb. No one is allowed to enter. Otherwise, I will kill without mercy. A loud and clear voice sounded. At this moment, everyone's expression became ugly. The people of the 1,000 Dragon Court clapped their hands and laughed. That's great, Lord Dragon General. Please kill these people. These people dared to challenge the Dragon Emperor. They will definitely die. Dragon General, why don't you kill them and use their blood to illuminate the dragon race? These people raised their arms and shouted. The others were as if they were facing a great enemy. Damn it, what should they do? If not for these 6 tunnels, they might have been in despair. They wouldn't have gone. But now, they had already seen the Dragon Emperor ancient coffin. How could they be willing to give up? However, facing a boundary emperor, they really had no choice. Even if they used extreme weapons, they probably wouldn't be able to defeat him. After all, the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty also had several sets of weapons, and a quasi-emperor used an extreme weapon. If a boundary emperor used extreme weapons, even if they were inferior in numbers, their power would still be far superior. Furthermore, the Dragon Emperor's ancient coffin was in the distance. If the extreme weapons overturned the ancient coffin and the Dragon Emperor's corpse appeared, no one would be able to withstand it. Some people said, look ahead. Apart from the Dragon Emperor's ancient coffin, there are no other treasures. Why don't we go back? Yes, there is no point in risking our lives here. Let's go back and take a look at the previous big shops. There might be some treasures left behind. These people wanted to leave. Lin Xian's brows were tightly knitted together. He wanted to leave. Truth be told, he didn't want these people to leave. The Dragon Emperor's ancient tomb was too dangerous. He had to bring these Emperor race people with him. Because of the danger, if several Emperor weapons were to erupt at the same time, they would be able to resist. If these people left, the Divine Union's strength wouldn't be able to resist. Therefore, he said, leave? What a pity. The Dragon Emperor's ancient coffin is right in front. Think about it. Even if the Dragon Emperor didn't leave anything else behind, the Dragon Emperor's ancient scripture would definitely be there. Don't you want the inheritance of a great emperor? The moment these words were spoken, those people stopped in their tracks and their eyes turned red. How could they not want the inheritance of a great emperor? The people from the 10,000 Dragon Court sneered. The inheritance of a great emperor is good, but do you have the life to enjoy it? That belongs to the dragon race. You don't have the right. Who says you don't have the right? Do you have the right to fight? Lin Xian stepped forward. He said, let's work together and suppress this 7th Dragon General. Then we can go. At that time, we will have a great chance of obtaining the Dragon Emperor ancient scripture. Everyone, could it be that you really don't want it? If you work together with us, we can share the Dragon Emperor ancient scripture. The people from the Emperor race were also tempted. If their great Emperor race clans obtained another ancient scripture, their strength would increase exponentially. It would reach an unbelievable level. However, Kunping Zi frowned. It is a quasi-emperor. We can't defeat it at all. The people from the 10,000 Dragon Court snorted coldly. They had already taken out the 10,000 dragon diagram. At the crucial moment, they would give the 10,000 dragon diagram to the 7th Dragon General and let him sweep through the land. However, Lin Xian said, we can't defeat a quasi-emperor. What if he isn't a quasi-emperor? What if he is a quasi-emperor like us? The moment these words came out, the others were stunned. Same realm? How could that be? His cultivation was real. Who could change it? Chapter 5478. You guys can't do it, but I can. Lin Xian's voice rang out, causing an uproar among the Emperor race people. What was going on? Lin Wudi, don't talk nonsense. Fire Qilin gritted his teeth and the others frowned. You have a way. Mansion Master Zi snorted coldly. Lin Xian said, I have a way. We all have extreme weapons in our hands. One extreme weapon might not be enough. However, with so many weapons together, we can definitely build an extreme realm. Then we can suppress the power of laws inside and suppress his cultivation to the great sage level. This way, he wouldn't be undefeatable. As soon as these words were said, The hearts of the other emperor race people jumped wildly. Would they also build an extreme realm? To be honest, it was a bold idea. They had seen an extreme realm before, and it was built with extreme weapons. Of course, they knew that it was definitely the work of an emperor back then. None of them were emperors now. They were all sacred lords. However, they had extreme weapons in their hands. If it was just temporarily building a spatial domain, it was still fine. Kuan-Ping Z nodded. Let's do it. I agree too. The Gu family also stood out. Next, all the emperor race people agreed. This was a good opportunity. Buzz. An extreme weapon flew out. Lin Xian's side and the divine unions, people sent out the desolate tower together. Lin Xian had 3 extreme weapons, but he didn't use all of them. He wanted to preserve his strength. This was also the reason why he joined forces with these emperor race people. With the strength that the divine union had, they definitely wouldn't be able to reach the end. They needed the help of these emperor race people. Between heaven and earth, extreme aura filled the air, forming an extreme realm that descended. It enveloped the sub-emperor. The 7th dragon general roared as the spear in his hand danced. It was enough to pierce the sky. However, this was an extreme weapon after all. It was too powerful, and he was gradually being suppressed. Damn it, the dragon race people's expressions turned ugly. Long Mu roared angrily, "How dare you!" Hurry up and activate your extreme weapons. They unleashed their extreme weapons with all their might to block the attack. However, there were too many extreme weapons in the sky, and the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty couldn't do anything. Lord Dragon General, please receive the extreme weapons. These people quickly used the 10,000 dragon picture to block. Long Jiang raised his head and roared. He pointed his spear and caught the 10,000 dragons picture. Then the 10,000 dragon spike exploded with boundless power, fighting against the space in the sky. The collision between the two was earth-shattering. Lin Xian shouted angrily. Next, they began to suppress each other. Sure enough, the 7th Dragon General was gradually being suppressed under the combined efforts of everyone. The laws on his body were suppressed, and his aura dropped. However, he was still a quasi-emperor. This made everyone despair. What to do? Even an apex weapon couldn't completely suppress him? From the looks of it, we can trap them, but we can't leave. These people were anxious. What Lin Wudi imagined did not happen. On the other hand, Lin Xian's expression was calm. He naturally knew that the power of an extreme-grade weapon alone might not be enough to completely suppress the Dragon King. After all, the other party was a Dragon General, a quasi-emperor. This was also an important place for the Dragon Clan. However, he still had one more treasure that he had not used, and that was the Sword World. Lin Xian would not completely open the Sword World and display it in front of these people. However, he would release the aura of the Sword World, causing the power of the Sword World to surge into the extreme Dao space. This way, it was equivalent to him making a world projection. He believed that with the mysterious power of the Sword World, he could definitely suppress the other party and make them fall below the quasi-emperor level. Following that, a black vortex appeared on Lin Xian's body, covering everything. No one saw him activate the Sword World, so they all thought that Lin Xian had used the heaven-swallowing jar again. The power of the Sword World surged out and poured into the extreme Dao space in front of him. The extreme Dao space shook for a moment, and then became incomparably mysterious. The illusion of a dreamy world seemed to appear, and Lin Xian directly rushed in. It stood there, facing the tall and godlike 7th Dragon General. He was still not afraid. "Suppress me." His angry roar was like a clap of thunder. "Useless Lin Wudi. A quasi-emperor is not someone you can challenge." Long Mu snorted coldly. The 7th Dragon General roared crazily. However, Lin Xian formed a seal with his palm, right? But here, I am the ruler of heaven and earth. Listen to my orders, suppress. The laws on the 7th Dragon General's body were gradually suppressed, and he fell below the quasi-emperor level. Sensing the scene, everyone was overjoyed. He did it, Lin Wuti really did it. The people of the 10,000 Dragons Imperial Court went crazy. Impossible. This was absolutely impossible. Long Mu also shook his head crazily. How could the quasi-emperor realm fall? Even if it was suppressed by an extreme Dao weapon, it was still impossible. How did this kid do it? As expected of the power of the sword world. Just a world projection was already so terrifying. Lin Xian also knew that this was all thanks to the Emperor race's extreme Dao weapons. Otherwise, even if he placed this quasi-emperor into the sword world, it would be very difficult to completely defeat him. A true quasi-emperor was too strong. Lin Xian had a quasi-emperor corpse, so he knew how terrifying a quasi-emperor's power was. That was an existence that had condensed an immortal chi seed or a divine fire seed. But now, Lin Xian had the confidence to fight against the other party. In a battle of the same level, he had never been afraid of anyone. However, Lin Xian was now a Saint Lord, and this dragon general was only suppressed to the sacred ancestor realm. No one could suppress it anymore. No, Lin Wuti couldn't suppress it to the Saint Lord realm. We don't have much strength. We still have to leave some to protect ourselves. Kuan Ping Zi shouted. Lin Xian nodded. Although the sacred ancestor was a realm higher than him, he could still contend against him. He said that it was enough. You guys maintain this space. I will defeat him. A cold light burst out from his eyes. A quasi-emperor whose realm was suppressed was also the 7th Dragon General, the Dragon Emperor's most capable assistant. He also wanted to see how terrifying such a person was. It was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to fight with such a person. Lin Xian didn't want to miss it. Was Lin Wuti going to make a move? Countless people exclaimed. But thinking about it, Lin Wuti's battle strength was too strong. The Thunder Dragon of the first hall and the Heavenly Battle Dragon of the second hall. The Mirage Dragon and the God-slaying saber were both broken by him. Therefore, facing the 7th Dragon General now, he would probably have to make a move. Everyone watched the battle nervously. The 7th Dragon General lowered his head, looked at Lin Xian and said coldly, "Aunt, do you think that you can contend against me just because you've suppressed my laws? Naive. Today I will let you know. I have the power of the dragon race." As he spoke, his body slowly shrank, and he turned into a normal person. In the next moment, a spear pierced over. It lit up the world, turning into an eternal light. Everyone was shocked. Even if the 7th Dragon General was suppressed, the power he displayed was far beyond theirs. It was not something a sacred ancestor could resist. Chapter 5479. The 7th Dragon General was enraged. As the Dragon Emperor's subordinate, he only admired the Dragon Emperor and treated everyone else like ants. Now, a mere great sage dared to challenge him? He couldn't take it. The spear pierced over, turning into a ray of light that made countless people feel despair. Lin Xian's pupils shrank. He had to admit that the 7th Dragon General was too strong. Although his cultivation was suppressed, he was still invincible. Demonic aura surged from his body as he took out the Great Destruction Spear and threw it out. The black spear seemed to have turned into black lightning with monstrous power. The collision between the two was earth-shattering. Immediately, cracks appeared in the extreme path space, shocking everyone. This was a space condensed by the aura of the extreme Tao. If a crack could appear, one could imagine how terrifying the power of the two was. After one blow, the two were evenly matched and faced each other again. The people of the Divine Union cheered. Great, Boss Lin was invincible. The 7th Dragon General was no match for Boss Lin if he wasn't a boundary emperor. Let's see how our Boss Lin will torture him. These people cheered excitedly. On the other side, the people of the 1,000 Dragon Court gritted their teeth. Could Lin Wuti block it? That was impossible. Long Mu said, "Don't worry. The The strength of the seventh dragon general was beyond his imagination. Just wait, Lin Wuti would regret it. He knew that a boundary emperor was an existence that surpassed the sage realm and had a power that sages didn't have. That power was what he had been pursuing, but he could only feel it. But he couldn't condense it. The seventh dragon general had definitely condensed it. Although the laws were suppressed, the power was still there. How could Lin Wuti block it? Therefore, he was extremely confident. This was just the beginning. In front, the two stopped after one blow and attacked again. The dragon spear of the seventh dragon general struck out continuously, forming a series of spear gleams that connected together like countless waves. It covered the sky and covered the earth. Every blow could easily kill a divine ancestor. Lin Xian roared as the great destruction spear danced. He used the demon emperor mystique, demon god light. The sky was filled with black light that pierced through the 9 heavens. At the same time, he used the demon god seal and demon god finger, demon overture. All kinds of monarch skills emerged one after another. The battle between the two was earth-shattering. Fortunately, there was a space constructed by an extreme weapon. Otherwise, the surrounding people would have long been torn to pieces by this power. Amidst the boundless light, Lin Xian suddenly roared, the heavenly Tao of Samsara. After using Rinnegan last time, Lin Xian has already closed his Rinnegan. With the rapid recovery, he gained a lot of power, so the Rinnegan was restored again. It could be activated now. A giant hand appeared in the sky and pressed down from the sky. It was like the hand of a god, and it slammed down on the head of the seventh dragon general. The seventh dragon general's soul shook. In the next moment, he roared at the sky. Scram! The dragon roared and turned into a beam of light that shot into the sky. It collided with the hand of the heavens. The battle between the two was extremely shocking. After blocking Lin Xian's soul attack, the seventh dragon general's eyes shone with a terrifying light. Dragon in the sky. Suddenly, a spear thrust out. It was as if it had turned into a flying dragon, soaring between the heaven and earth. This spear was too terrifying. It could be said to be a fatal blow. The moment Long Mu caught sight of this, he broke out into a smile. That kid would definitely not be able to block this attack. Lin Xian's pupils shrank. This spear had pierced through his demonic energy. It attacked him. It hit his body, and there was a deafening sound. He was forced back. His blood was in turmoil, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. There were cracks spreading on his body. Lin Wuti was injured. The people of the Kuanping race exclaimed. The others gasped. They knew how strong Lin Wuti was, but now he was injured. Was this a quasi-emperor? Even if he was suppressed, he was undefeatable. Humph, Aunt, you're not my match. Even if my cultivation is suppressed, you are not a match for me. Kneel down and accept your death. The dragon general stood in the sky like a god. Lin Xian frowned. He looked at his injured body. He also took a deep breath. What a terrifying spear technique. As expected of a quasi-emperor, he was far stronger than the other double champions. His divine body shook, and his powerful physique quickly healed his injuries. In the next moment, the flames on his body soared into the sky as if he had turned into a sun god. Powerful. I have to say, a quasi-emperor is indeed beyond my imagination. But do you think that this attack can defeat me? You are too naive. I don't know if you are a human or a puppet now, but you have been asleep for too long. Don't you understand how the world has changed? The world now belongs to us young people. You are old. Let me tell you what the strongest prodigy of this era is like. Lin Xian's eyes erupted with an extremely terrifying light. He put away the great destruction and took out the hell sword. The sword chi on his body was monstrous. At this moment, he seemed to have turned into a peerless sword god, unparalleled. What a terrifying sword chi! Feeling this power, everyone was shocked. Lin Wuti's power was even more terrifying than before. It seemed that he was also angry. The sword maestro also sucked in a cold breath. He was an expert of the sword Dao, and his sword technique was unparalleled. But now, in front of Lin Xian, he actually felt a sense of defeat. This young junior's sword Dao aura had already surpassed his. It even made him feel terrified. The sword Dao, great emperor of the past, was just like this when he was young. She sighed. How did the Purple Mansion provoke such an enemy? She was worried for the Purple Mansion. The Purple Mansion Lord's expression was also ugly. He snorted coldly. Just wait. The Triple Crown champion will come out soon. At that time, who cares who you are? You will be killed all the same. The seventh dragon general's mocking and disdainful expression disappeared, replaced by a hint of seriousness. The aura on Lin Xian's body moved him. Are you the number one genius of this era? He said in a deep voice. Such a person had the qualifications of a great emperor. He had a high chance of becoming a new great emperor. Lin Xian said, the universe is vast and there are countless living beings. I don't know if I am the number one, but I can tell you that since I started fighting, I have never tasted defeat. I have been going all the way and I am still invincible. I have never been defeated. Everyone was shocked. This was an invincible legend. The dragon general's expression was also solemn. His pupils constricted slightly. An invincible existence. Who in the world dares to call themselves invincible? You are too arrogant, even if you are the number one in the universe. It is impossible that you have never been defeated. Even great emperors have been defeated, let alone you. His nerves were incomparably cold. He knew that the dragon emperor who he followed in the past seemed to have been forced back by someone, and it was by a mysterious person. One had to know that the dragon emperor, who swept through the heavens and suppressed the universe, had suffered a loss back then. How dare this young man in front of him say that he is invincible? What an arrogant brat! Let me see how strong you are, invincible realm. As he spoke, he waved his hand and launched another dragon in the sky. Wherever the long spear went, everything was destroyed. Chapter 5480. Previously, it was this move that had injured Lin Xian. Would Lin Xian be able to withstand it this time? If he couldn't, his injuries would be even more serious. Defeat was only a matter of time. Lin Xian's expression was also extremely solemn. He attacked with the long sword in his hand and slashed forward. Sun sword. Boundless flames condensed in his hand. This sword formed a flaming sword chi and slashed forward. The long sword swept across. It was as if thousands of suns had descended into the world together. They shone in all directions. This was also a sword technique that Lin Xian had created himself. The sword chi was terrifying and spread in all directions. In the sky, a flying dragon bared its fangs and brandished its claws as it charged towards Lin Xian. However, it was shrouded by endless suns halfway. The light of the suns fell and crushed the flying dragon. The flying dragon roared and fought against it. The two phantoms fought between heaven and earth. The heaven and earth anomaly shocked the people around the map. Then the flying dragon was shrouded by the sun and disappeared. He blocked it. Countless people exclaimed. Lin Wudi's sword technique was really too powerful. He could even block a flying dragon in the sky. The seventh dragon general snorted. Terrifying flames? His long spear danced again. The spear was like a dragon, and the illusion of the sea appeared around him. Monstrous seawater swept over. True dragon out of the water. The nether water dragon collided with the flames. The two forces were completely opposite. They fought together. The suns in the sky were extinguished. The monstrous seawater swept over. Was it broken? As expected of the seventh dragon general, his methods were indeed powerful. He could even break Lin Wudi's sword technique. Not good. Brother Xian is in danger. Murong Qingqing and the others also exclaimed. This dragon general was too terrifying. Although he was suppressing the laws now, he was still a quasi-emperor. He must have swept through everything back then and successfully stepped into the quasi-emperor realm. Such a person was extremely terrifying. They were all worried for Lin Xian. In the face of this shocking attack, Lin Xian was incomparably calm. Another sword. 9 suns opened the sky. 9 suns bloomed and formed a sword. The sword slashed down, splitting heaven and earth. The entire sea was split in half. True Dragon out of the water was also broken. So powerful. Lin Wuti turned around and attacked again. The sea is boundless, and the dragon soars to the 9 heavens. The 7th quasi-emperor brandished his spear again. This time it was not a true dragon. Instead, dozens of true dragons went out to sea together. The power of the sea was much stronger than before. He killed Jiuyang once again. Then the sun was extinguished. Countless people were shocked. The 2 of them were truly too powerful. Back and forth, they were evenly matched. This time, how was Lin Xian going to defend himself? Lin Xian snorted coldly. How could the sea compare to the starry sky? Let me tell you what true immeasurable is. Lin Xian's voice was sonorous. A sky full of stars appeared behind him. There was a huge amount of starlight revolving around him, as if the universe had descended. The 9 stars linked together, piercing through with a single sword strike. The terrifying sword Qi connected the 9 stars together and flew forward, like a meteor that could destroy the world. Boom! Boom! Those giant dragons galloping in the 9 heavens were struck by these meteors and fell from the sky, falling into the sea, blood staining the 9 heavens. This sword technique was too powerful. Everyone was shocked. To be able to fight with a quasi-emperor and have such an exciting battle. Perhaps only Lin Wuti could do it. Lin Xian pointed his sword forward and said loudly, "7th Dragon General, what other tricks do you have? Show them all." The 7th Dragon General's face became incomparably cold. He did not expect the other party to be so powerful, to be able to block several of his ultimate techniques in succession. Damn it, if not for this extreme space, he would have killed the other party long ago. He snorted coldly, and an extremely terrifying killing intent erupted from his eyes. With a roar, he strode over. Every step he took caused the sky to collapse and the earth to crack. Lin Xian also raised his sword and charged over. The battle between the 2 was extremely terrifying. Every move carried supreme power. The surrounding people were dumbfounded. The 2 of them were really in a fierce battle. This Lin Wuti had a high chance of becoming a quasi-emperor in the future. Those from the emperor race were also discussing. The talent that Lin Xian displayed was really too strong. They were also frowning. The appearance of a quasi-emperor was enough to change everything. Moreover, the other party had a high chance of becoming a quasi-emperor. This was the situation that they were worried about. Boom, boom, boom. Another intense collision. Both parties retreated, and an endless black hole formed behind them. The 7th Dragon General roared, and his long spear danced continuously. Heaven and earth, listen to my command. Supreme Dragon Qi, condense. He roared furiously, and boundless dragon Qi quickly circled around him. Then it formed one after another dragon shadow. Those dragon shadows roared into the sky, and each one was different. With the 7th Dragon General as the center, they spread in all directions. Buzz! An extremely terrifying light erupted from the 7th Dragon General's body. His entire body seemed to have become one with his spear, and he turned into an aurora and slashed over. At this moment, nothing could stop him. Lin Xian also frowned. He snorted coldly and transformed into a dragon. Baring his fangs and brandishing his claws, he also slapped over. Clang! Lin Xian's dragon claw slapped on the long spear, and an earth-shattering sound rang out. At the same time, the surrounding dragon shadows rushed onto his body, setting off endless flames. Lin Xian's blood boiled. but an extremely terrifying light burst out from his eyes. The overture of demons turned into a divine sword. A terrifying sound rang out, and one after another, the sword slashed out. It rushed out from his body and slashed in all directions. The surrounding spirit dragons were pierced through and shattered into pieces. Not only that, the sword on Lin Xian's body became more and more terrifying. The dragon claw swung again, and the long spear shook continuously. The seventh divine general's body also trembled, and he seemed to be injured. He was sent flying. Another attack. Lin Xian swept his dragon tail, and finally sent the seventh divine general flying. Slash! Seizing the opportunity, Lin Xian roared, and he unleashed the firmament battle map, and it fell forward. The firmament battle map seemed to have turned into a sky, and it shone brightly. Everywhere it passed, it could suppress everything. "Oh no!" the surrounding people exclaimed. "Is the seventh dragon going to be defeated? Damn it, why did it turn out like this?" This was a true quasi-emperor. Even the people from the Thousand Dragon Court felt their scalps go numb. The seventh dragon general felt the power of the firmament battle map, and his face also darkened. He knew how terrifying this thing was, so he didn't resist it. His body swayed, and he dodged like a dragon, but he was still a step too late. The firmament battle map was very fast, and it enveloped him. He didn't escape. He was knocked back, his aura churning, his body swaying, and the light on his body dimmed a lot. Oh no, he was hit. It's over. The seventh dragon general is going to be sealed. The people from the dragon race were pale, but the people from the other emperor races were excited. Great. As expected of Linwoody, he is indeed strong. Next, we can continue to move forward and head to the Dragon Emperor ancient coffin. These people were all happy, and even Morong Ching and the others were smiling. However, on the other side, Long Mu snorted coldly. "Stupid! You have completely angered the Dragon General. Linwoody, wait for your death." He knew that the Dragon General had not used his main power yet. That was the power of a boundary emperor. Chapter 5481. The heavens battle map enveloped the opponent like a sky. The seventh dragon general was unable to move at all. Everyone thought that Lin Xian had won and cheered happily. The seventh dragon general frowned as he felt the power of the heavens battle map. He snorted, "Kid, I didn't expect you to be so strong to be able to take out such a battle map. I seem to have seen it when I was following the Dragon Emperor. It should be related to the Heavenly Book. Your luck is really good. Unfortunately, do you really think you can seal me away with the battle map? If you were a boundary emperor, you might have succeeded. Unfortunately, you are not. You aren't. You are just a puny saint. You might have a treasure, but you can't contend against me. Let me tell you, a boundary emperor is an existence that is above the sage realm. It is a power that surpasses the sage realm. You won't understand my power." Upon hearing this, the surrounding people's faces changed. What's going on? Could it be that he hasn't lost yet? Impossible, he is in the extreme path space. These people couldn't understand. Only Long Mu was excited. He knew that the show was about to begin. The seventh dragon general snorted as an aura appeared between his eyebrows. The aura wasn't strong and was even very vague. However, the moment it appeared, it caused the sky to collapse. Everyone felt a pressure. Even though they were separated by the aura of the extreme Tao, they could still feel that the pressure was like a mountain toppling and sea overturning. The surrounding sacred race people felt their blood boiling. Some of them even spat out blood. Damn it! What is this? It's too terrifying. Is it the dragon chi? How could it be so terrifying? The people from the remote ancient families were shocked. The people from the Divine Union were also horrified. They hadn't expected the situation to change. However, the people from the imperial clans all frowned deeply. They sighed. The seventh dragon general was a subordinate of the Dragon Emperor. After so many years, this power still existed? It was unbelievable. These emperor races had produced great emperors, and even boundary emperors before. Naturally, they knew what kind of power this was. However, they hadn't expected the other party to be able to use it. The heavens battle map shook violently. The seventh dragon general was hit by the aura and was instantly sent flying. The light on it dimmed significantly. Kid, did you see that? Your strongest magic treasure couldn't even withstand a single blow from me. What are you going to use to fight me? Today I'll send you to hell. At this moment, the aura of the seventh dragon general turned extremely horrifying. It was as if he had transformed into a lofty and ancient existence. The people from the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty were shocked. At the same time, they were confused as to what was going on. Longmu knew that it was the immortal Chi seed. This was the biggest difference between a quasi-emperor and saint. A quasi-emperor condensed the immortal Chi seed. This was a transcendent power that surpassed everything. Lin Wudi couldn't block it at all. And everything is over. The seventh dragon general extended a finger and pointed forward. This finger was even more terrifying than the dragon spear from before. It was as if it had become the only thing in the world. It enveloped Lin Xian. The expressions of the Divine Union members changed drastically. Murong Qingqing and the others also cried out in alarm. Brother Xian, quickly retreat. We will use our extreme weapons to fight against him. However, it was already too late. This finger enveloped Lin Xian. The void around Lin Xian crumbled and cracked. Those extreme doubt auras also began to shake violently. Lin Xian roared. The demonic aura on his body surged and covered the 9 heavens, forming a demonic world. It enveloped everything. Everyone couldn't see it. However, Long Mu snorted coldly. There was no need to look. Nothing would go wrong. Under this finger, Lin Wudi would die without a doubt. The surrounding demonic aura surged. The seventh dragon general snorted coldly. Was this the demon emperor's ability? It was useless. The difference between us isn't something you can withstand. His finger continued to descend mercilessly, coming to the top of Lin Xian's head. If he exerted a little force, the young man in front of him would turn into ashes. However, in the next instant, Lin Xian reached out with his palm and grabbed at the seventh dragon general. A mantis trying to stop a chariot. Stupid thing. The seventh divine general sneered. His finger suddenly sped up. With a boom, it collided with Lin Xian's palm. The difference in strength was enough to destroy everything. An earth-shattering sound was heard, spreading in all directions. It was really too strong. The people outside exclaimed in shock. Long Mu sneered. All right, it's over. The people of the Divine Union were in despair. No, they couldn't believe that Lin Xian would die like this. In the demonic aura, the smile on the seventh divine general's face disappeared and was replaced by shock. His eyes twitched fiercely. This was because he had seen the most unbelievable thing. You didn't die. He roared in horror. His voice became hoarse. How could this be? He had used the immortal energy seed. Any sage who came into contact with this power would die without a doubt. How could this kid in front of him still be alive? More importantly, Lin Xian had blocked his attack with his bare hands. What kind of joke was this? Could it be that his immortal energy seed was also suppressed? Ha! Lin Xian's laughter rang out. Who do you think you are? You are a boundary emperor. Do you think you are superior? You are the Dragon Emperor's assistant. Do you think you can ignore everything? Do you really think I am an ant? Do you think I am at your mercy? What a pity. You can't do anything to me. So what if you have an immortal energy seed? You're just SOO. You actually know about the immortal energy seed? The seventh divine general was even more shocked. Not many people in the Emperor clan knew about this thing. Only those who were close to breaking through would know about it. This was a supreme secret. The young man in front of him, a mere sage, actually knew about the immortal energy seed. This was too unbelievable. He snorted coldly, and his face darkened. However, A moment later, he exclaimed again. He realized that Lin Xian, who was in front of him, had raised his head. There was a ball of flame dancing between his eyebrows. Although the flame was very small and blurry, the power it emitted was extremely terrifying. It was very similar to his immortal energy seed. They both had supreme and mysterious power. He was too shocked. Divine flame seed. You actually have a divine flame seed. He was so shocked that he couldn't speak. How could a mere sage have a divine flame seed? He knew that even someone like Long Mu, who had stepped into the sage stage in one step, hadn't condensed one. It was simply impossible for a mere sage to have one. There was still a long way to go. This had completely exceeded his understanding. Lin Xian sneered. There are many things in this world that you don't understand. Do you think you can strut around just because you have the immortal energy seed? Unfortunately, you can't do that in front of me. As soon as he finished speaking, power erupted from his palm. The power of the divine flame seed swept out and blasted the other party's finger away. At the same time, he waved his hand, and the surrounding demonic qi became even more terrifying. He said, "Come, let's have a true battle between immortals. Let's see if your immortal energy seed is more powerful, or if my divine flame seed is more powerful." Chapter 5482. It was a battle between the immortal Qi seed and the divine fire seed. The people outside couldn't see it. However, the seventh dragon general's expression was extremely solemn. He didn't expect the other party to have the divine fire seed. This was a power that only a boundary emperor had. The other party actually had it in advance, which was really beyond his expectations. The seventh dragon general said in a deep voice, "You really have a secret. Although I don't know how you got the divine fire seed, you can't beat me. Your divine flame seed is too weak, while my immortal Qi seed can completely kill you." He stepped out step by step, and the entire world was shaking. The immortal Qi seed between his eyebrows emitted a terrifying aura. A monstrous pressure, like a mountain, covered the sky and the earth as it charged forward. This aura was too terrifying. Many of the people outside were so frightened that they knelt on the ground, and Lin Xian was the first to bear the brunt. He shouted coldly, and the flame between his eyebrows jumped. It was like a god walking between heaven and earth. Every step it took caused the sky to collapse and the earth to crack, shattering the terrifying aura. The collision between the two was extremely terrifying. Lin Xian's voice was cold. "My divine fire seed is not as strong as yours." However, he had always been growing. "Therefore, you will pay the price for underestimating me. Moreover, let me see how much power you can unleash in this world projection." As he spoke, Lin Xian continued to activate the sword world. The power in the sword world circulated, and the world projection became even more terrifying. The seventh dragon general's expression became serious. He felt that the aura on his body was even more terrifying. Even his immortal Qi seed was being suppressed. How was this possible? What kind of power could suppress his immortal Qi seed? Damn it! With a roar, he decided to attack with all his might. The kid in front of him was too strange. He couldn't see through him, and he couldn't wait any longer. If his immortal Qi seed was completely suppressed, then he would lose this battle. His body swayed, and he held the dragon's spear in his hand as he charged forward. Every attack carried the power of the immortal Qi seed. Every move was fatal, as if he was one with heaven and earth. Lin Xian also snorted coldly, and the divine fire seed was also activated to the extreme. He used his great magic to fight. Divine flames danced and spread across his body. Although it was very small, its might far surpassed that of before. The battle between the two shook the earth. It was like a battle between a god and an immortal. After exchanging over 1,000 blows, the seventh dragon general retreated. The immortal Qi seed between his eyebrows had dimmed, as if it would vanish at any moment. "How is this possible? You can actually suppress me? I don't believe it." He was a true boundary emperor and had cultivated his immortal chi seed to a very powerful level. The other party was a saint that had just obtained the divine flame seed not too long ago. How could he possibly contend against him? Lin Xian's expression was cold, and the divine flame between his brows pulsed. The thunder lock, the blue dragon's blood, the dragon's spiritual fruit, and the emperor-level dragon crystal appeared around him. All of this energy surged into his divine flame seed. This made the divine flame even more mysterious. You actually possess such power. Seeing this scene, the 7th Dragon General was completely stunned. Wasn't this the power of the Tomb Keeper? It was actually obtained by the other party. Could it be that this brat had fought his way here in a domineering manner? Unbelievable. Everything was over. Lin Xian felt a powerful force. He formed a seal with his palm and pressed it forward. There was a flaming mountain pulsing in the palm seal. This was the combination of many kinds of power, and it also contained the power of the divine flame seed. The 7th Dragon General tried his best to dodge, but he was still sent flying. A crack appeared on his body. The immortal chi seed between his brows also dimmed. It entered his body and no longer appeared. Outside, everyone was still waiting. They could feel that there was a terrifying battle taking place in the space in front of them. Although they couldn't see it, they knew that it was extremely exciting. Some people frowned. Calculating the time, more than 1,000 blows had already passed. Why hadn't he come out yet? Could it be that Lin Wuti had been fighting all this time? That was impossible. How did he do it? Fighting against a boundary emperor? Long Mu frowned even more. One had to know that the 7th Dragon General had already displayed his immortal chi seed. He should have been able to kill the other party instantly. What exactly happened? Just as they were puzzled, the void suddenly broke open and a figure retreated. The victor had been decided. Everyone exclaimed. They looked over, but when they realized that the person who came out wasn't Lin Xian, they were dumbfounded. It was actually the 7th Dragon General. The people of the 1,000 Dragon Court couldn't believe it. Long Mu's eyes widened. This was impossible. The 7th Divine General had the power of the immortal chi seed. It was a power that surpassed that of a saint. Who could defeat it? Lin Xian appeared in the sky. The divine flame between his brows also disappeared. He looked down like a god and said coldly, "You have lost." As he said that, he waved his hand and threw out the heaven-devouring jar, directly swallowing the power of the other party. The 7th Dragon General roared into the sky. His body gradually petrified and turned into a statue. Once again, he returned to his original position. I have no power. Damn it, I'm going to sleep. The 7th Dragon General let out a final roar, and then there was no more movement. Lin Xian put away the heaven-devouring jar. He felt the heaven-devouring jar absorb a powerful force, and the corners of his mouth curled up. He could see that the Dragon General's state was very strange. His previous recovery should have been due to the true Dragon Emperor's ancient tomb providing some powerful force. Now that he had swallowed this force, the other party was naturally petrified again. Had Lin Wuti won? The people of the Emperor race were shocked. Lin Wuti had actually defeated a boundary emperor. Although this boundary emperor was suppressed by the extreme path realm, he was still in existence that couldn't be defeated. Lin Wuti was too strong. The people of the 1,000 Dragon Court were completely crazy. Long Mu's mind was also blank. He really couldn't understand what was going on. Right now, he was looking at Lin Xian with a tinge of fear. Lin Xian landed and returned to the Divine Union. The Divine Union cheered. He said, "Protect me, I have to recover." Next, it was the Dragon Emperor's ancient coffin. This was the last step. He had to give it his all. The others also took a deep breath and looked to the 6 passageways. They didn't act rashly. Although they didn't know who had broken through the ancient tomb, it was convenient for them now. Only after Lin Xian had fully recovered did they follow him inside. They had unknowingly started to respect Lin Xian. Even the emperor race was like this. In their hearts, Lin Xian was the strongest existence. Even a few emperors' sons could only lower their heads and admit defeat. After passing through one of the passages, the group finally arrived at the front. This was a vast hall. It was very spacious, and there was only an ancient coffin floating there. Around the ancient coffin were countless streams of dragon qi. It was like a huge dragon that was constantly floating between heaven and earth. Chapter 5483. Everyone looked at the ancient coffin in front of them. They were in a daze. This was the coffin that buried an emperor. Lin Xian also narrowed his eyes and carefully examined it. He discovered that it seemed to be a stone coffin, but he didn't know what kind of stone it was made of. It was unusually simple and mysterious. The stone used to bury an emperor should be a heaven-defying material. Suddenly, he was stunned. There seemed to be a terrifying dragon roar in his ears. An illusion appeared in front of him. It was the Thousand Dragons picture, carrying a majestic man who swept across the world. This should be Long Xiaotian from back then. Lin Xian was shocked. He didn't expect it to be so powerful after death. The other people were also trembling. It was obvious that they had also seen this scene. The Crimson Dragon at the side exclaimed, "It's so scary. Just one look at the ancient coffin, and my soul is about to be buried in it. I will never be able to come back." The others nodded desperately. It was indeed too scary. They didn't dare to look anymore. The Dragon Emperor. After Long Mu and the others arrived, they also walked forward excitedly. However, after a few steps, many of them screamed and turned into blood mist. Even a few cracks appeared on Long Mu's body. He was knocked back and spat out a mouthful of blood. The others sucked in a breath of cold air. What a terrifying power! There was a great emperor's formation here. No way. It might be the emperor's aura of the Dragon Emperor's corpse. It was the most terrifying power in the universe. Even if it was dead, it couldn't be challenged. Long Mu knelt on the ground and kept kowtowing. "Dragon Emperor, please don't be angry." Although they were his descendants, they didn't dare to get closer. The emperor was a supreme existence. They couldn't get close and could only look up. The others also sighed. They felt that even if they had the emperor's weapon, they weren't confident, because there was a real emperor buried in front of them. It was an existence that far surpassed a boundary emperor. One had to know that a boundary emperor was already very terrifying. However, in front of an emperor, they were nothing. It seemed that they were going to return empty-handed. The surrounding people sighed. They came to the last step and saw the Dragon Emperor's ancient coffin. However, they didn't gain anything. "Forget it. Let's go back and see if there are any other treasures in the other halls. I don't want to stay here any longer." The Purple Mansion Palace Master was also scared. The Kuan Peng clan, the Fire Qilin clan, and the others all prepared to go back. Should I go back? Lin Xian also frowned. He used his Rinnegan to investigate. The ancient coffin in front of him was indeed mysterious. With his current strength, he was unable to challenge it. This hall was very spacious, and it didn't seem to have any treasures. It seemed that he really had to go to the other halls to take a look. Lin Xian also prepared to leave. However, right at that moment, the Tao of Dragon auras ahead suddenly trembled violently. Then, a deep roar came from the ancient coffin. As soon as this voice came out, the souls of the surrounding people cracked, and they screamed as they retreated. They were all terrified. Where did that sound come from? The elder of the Gu family pointed in front of him in horror. It came from the Dragon Emperor ancient coffin. What? The Dragon Sea Master, the Lightning Dragon Patriarch, and the Wind Dragon Patriarch were all stunned. They fell to their knees. Could it be that the voice that came from the Dragon Emperor ancient coffin was the Dragon Emperor? Was the Dragon Emperor still alive? As soon as this was said, the others went crazy. It couldn't be. A great emperor was still alive. This was too unbelievable. Impossible. The old phoenix, shook her head. An existence from 90,000 years ago couldn't possibly be alive now. What was going on? The old sword man also frowned. The elder of the Golden Crow tribe said, "This is too scary. Let's leave quickly." Everyone retreated. At that moment, the deep roar of the dragon resounded again. Everyone's souls cracked, and they were about to cry. They realized that the millions of dragon auras in the Dragon Emperor ancient coffin seemed to have received some kind of order and transformed into dragon shadows. An extremely terrifying radiance burst out from his eyes, sweeping across the 9 heavens and 10 lands. Everyone was sent flying and vomited blood. The power of a great emperor had completely exceeded them. It wasn't something they could withstand. "Quick, use your extreme weapons." These people roared crazily. The extreme weapons of the great emperor family were used to resist. However, this extreme power seemed to have angered the ancient coffin even more. An even more terrifying Tao of dragon aura surged out. "Quick, run." These people retreated frantically. The people on the Divine Union's side also retreated in fear. At that moment, the millions of dragon auras charged toward Lin Xian. They roared angrily. Lin Xian was being targeted. The people of the Divine Union were also in despair. Lin Xian roared, "Run!" He used the heaven-devouring jar to resist. In the next instant, an earth-shattering sound was heard. Lin Xian was sent flying. Many of the black holes around him were shattered, and blood flowed out from the corners of his mouth. Murong Qingqing and the others were also sent flying. The blood of the others was also churning. What happened? Was it targeting Lin Wudi again? The god-slaying saber seemed to be targeting Lin Wudi. Now the dragon aura in the Dragon Emperor ancient coffin was the same. Lin Wudi was just too unlucky. The Purple Mansion Lord said, "Have you forgotten? He was someone who had killed the Dragon Prince." Now that he was standing in front of the Dragon Emperor, how could he escape unscathed? The Dragon Emperor's power could definitely kill him. Ha ha ha! Great! Lin Wudi was really an idiot. He actually dared to stand in front of the Dragon Emperor. The people of the 1,000 Dragon Court laughed proudly as they retreated from the passage. They were outside. The people of the Divine Union were also sent flying. They couldn't move forward. How was Big Brother Xian? Murong Qingqing and the others were anxious. However, they realized that the Dragon Emperor ancient coffin in front of them had completely exploded and sealed the passage. No one could enter. Lin Wudi was dead. Long Mu snorted. That was the place where the Dragon Emperor was sleeping. Just one of his powers was enough to destroy the myriad worlds. No matter how strong Lin Wudi was, he was no match for him. The people of the Divine Union were in despair. In the spacious hall, Lin Xian's face turned ugly. Damn it! Was he being targeted again? However, it made sense. He had killed the Dragon Prince and slapped the Dragon Emperor in the face 90,000 years ago. These were all karma. Now that he was standing in front of the Dragon Emperor's corpse, he wouldn't leave so easily. He gritted his teeth and threw out the heaven-devouring jar. The surrounding black hole shrouded him. At the same time, a terrifying radiance burst out from his eyes. He waved his hand, and a sword, Qi, slashed forward. Boom! His arm was numb from the impact. The dragon aura in front of him was tumbling. However, it was still intact in an instant. This was the power of a true emperor. It was too strong. Lin Xian was holding half an extreme grade weapon and using the power of the great dragon sword spirit. Was it not enough? He shouted and took out the great dragon sword spirit. He held it with both hands and was about to explode. However, after the great dragon sword soul flew out, it roared at the sky. It was the 100 Tails divine dragon, and it charged forward directly. Chapter 5484. Lin Xian was stunned by the dragon sword soul's actions. He hadn't moved at all. It was the dragon sword soul that moved on its own. What was going on? Lin Xian frowned. However, he realized that the dragon sword soul was really terrifying. It actually split the dragon chi in its path, forming a crack. Under Lin Xian's surprised gaze, the dragon sword soul flew forward. It came to the front of the Dragon Emperor ancient coffin and then floated above it. There was an angry roar from the Dragon Emperor ancient coffin. Thousands of dragon chi rushed over and turned into a giant dragon to attack the dragon sword soul. Lin Xian didn't have the strength to attack for a while. He heaved a sigh of relief. At the same time, he looked forward again. What was going on? Were the two fighting? Amidst this dragon's roar, tens of thousands of dragon chi rushed towards the great dragon's sword soul. It enveloped the dragon's sword soul. However, the great dragon's sword soul let out a sword cry. Then its long sword swept in all directions, cutting all the dragons into pieces. It turned into dragon chi again, and all these things were swallowed by it. The sword blade began to absorb these auras. There was an angry roar from the Dragon Emperor ancient coffin below. The ancient coffin shook. Suddenly, the sky fell and the earth cracked. The dragon's sword soul was blasted away. Lin Xian was stunned. He was a little afraid. Would the Dragon Emperor's corpse come out? The dragon's sword soul was sent flying. It circled and charged over. It directly charged into the Dragon Emperor ancient coffin. Lin Xian couldn't see. He could only see the Dragon Emperor ancient coffin shaking violently. The surrounding dragon chi seemed to have received an order. It rushed into the Dragon Emperor ancient coffin crazily. In front, it seemed to have turned into a storm of energy, sweeping in all directions. The entire hall was filled with spatial cracks. Lin Xian retreated to a corner. He took out the heaven-swallowing jar to block. Under this power, he could only protect himself. The people outside felt their scalps go numb when they felt this power. They pushed further. At the same time, they said that Lin Wuti was dead meat. Zifu and the others laughed coldly. They looked nervous. However, Murong Qingqing and the others didn't act rashly. They did not go in at all. After experiencing so many dangers, Murong Qingqing had Lin Xian's soul jade tablet. The soul jade pendant wasn't broken at all, which meant that although Lin Xian was dangerous, he wasn't in mortal danger. As for why there was such a terrifying power, they had no idea. This power lasted for many days before slowly disappearing on the fourth day. Soon after, the great dragon's sword spirit flew out and returned to Lin Xian's body. The dragon chi in front of him had become faint. The Dragon Emperor's ancient coffin also fell to the ground with a rumbling sound. The entire Dragon Emperor ancient curtain shook violently. Was it over? Lin Xian stood up and looked ahead, bewildered. At this moment, the dragon chi above the Dragon Emperor ancient coffin had already disappeared. What happened? The great dragon sword spirit had returned safely. He had defeated the Dragon Emperor's corpse. Why were they fighting? Lin Xian was not aware of any of this. At this moment, a voice rang out. Are you curious? You can go ahead and open the ancient coffin to take a look. Lin Xian was shocked when he heard this idea. What a bold idea. The next moment, he was even more horrified. Who was it? He shouted coldly. When the Dragon Emperor's ancient coffin exploded, everyone was pushed back. He was the only one left here. But now, someone was talking to him. Who was it? Could it be that the Dragon Emperor's corpse was resurrected? His scalp was about to split open. It's me. The low voice rang out again. Lin Xian's pupils shrank. This time he heard it clearly. The voice came from his body. Lin Xian used his Rinnegan to investigate. The next moment he was shocked. The great dragon, sword spirit. He exclaimed. A sword chi flew out from his body. It was the great dragon sword spirit. The great dragon sword spirit was floating in front of him. He spoke. Yes, it's me. You can speak? Lin Xian was completely stunned. He had owned the great dragon sword spirit for so many years, but he had never heard of it being able to speak. I just woke up, and the great dragon sword spirit spoke. If it weren't for the power of the Dragon Emperor's ancient coffin, I'm afraid I wouldn't have been able to wake up. After hearing this, Lin Xian was completely stunned. The great dragon sword spirit was the sword spirit of the great dragon sword. It could be said that it was also a kind of weapon spirit. Lin Xian thought of the black tortoise 8 trigrams and the destructive spear. Those were all weapons, but they seemed to be living creatures. The great dragon sword was probably such an existence in the past, but now only the sword spirit was left. And it was actually sleeping before. Lin Xian remembered that the moment he entered the Dragon Emperor's ancient tomb, the great dragon sword spirit began to absorb power. The first time it absorbed the power of the Dragon Emperor's ancient tomb. Whoever entered first would have a special power, but that power was absorbed by the great dragon sword spirit. The second time it absorbed the power of the god-slaying saber, and the third time it absorbed the power of the Dragon Emperor's ancient coffin. You didn't absorb the Dragon Emperor's corpse, did you? Lin Xian was shocked. The great dragon sword spirit smiled mysteriously. Do you want to know? Open it and take a look. Don't worry, there won't be any danger. There won't be any danger. Lin Xian rolled his eyes. What a joke! How terrifying was the corpse of a great emperor. Lin Xian had seen the corpse of a quasi-emperor before, and he couldn't bear it. The previous great emperor's corpse would turn into ashes as soon as it got close, but now it said that there wouldn't be any danger. However, the great dragon sword spirit had a look of certainty, which made Lin Xian curious. The terrifying aura in front of him had indeed disappeared. He took a deep breath, took out the heaven-devouring jar with his left hand, created a vortex, and then walked forward, carefully arriving in front of the Dragon Emperor's ancient coffin. Lin Xian stretched out his right hand and grabbed the sarcophagus. He didn't feel any terrifying aura, which made him heave a sigh of relief. In the next moment, he used the power of his divine body. With a crack, just as his divine body was about to collapse, a low sound finally came out. Then the sarcophagus slowly opened. Lin Xian took a deep breath and took a closer look. However, he was stunned, because there wasn't a corpse inside, but a battle robe. Where's the Dragon Emperor? Was he really absorbed by you? The great dragon sword spirit flew over, looked at the ancient coffin below and said, "There wasn't a corpse in the first place, so this battle robe had been buried all along." Cenotaph. Lin Xian furrowed his brows tightly. He had seen such a situation before. Some people's souls were destroyed in a great battle. Their corpses didn't exist at all, so when they were buried, they would take some of the items used by these people. It was called the cenotaph. But the Dragon Emperor's ancient tomb was the tomb of a great emperor, and the Dragon Emperor was also destroyed? He couldn't believe it. He looked at the great dragon sword spirit and said, "Great dragon, what's going on? Can you tell me?" Lin Xian was really curious. Chapter 5485. Lin Xian was really surprised that the Dragon Emperor's corpse was not inside the Dragon Emperor's ancient coffin. So, he looked at the great dragon sword spirit, wanting it to explain. The great dragon sword spirit said, "He didn't have a corpse to begin with, only a battle robe. As for where his corpse went, I don't know either." Lin Xian was too shocked after hearing that. There was only one battle robe buried in the Dragon Emperor's ancient tomb. Where was the Dragon Emperor's corpse? It was really too unbelievable. Suddenly he moved. He turned his head and looked into the distance. There, 6 tunnels had been pierced through. Back then, under the Dragon Emperor, there were 7 dragon generals. They were all quasi-emperors, but now only the 7th dragon general was left. The first 6 had already disappeared, and the Dragon Emperor's ancient tomb had been broken by others. Could it be related to the disappearance of the Dragon Emperor's corpse? Lin Xian wasn't sure. The great dragon sword spirit said, "Don't think about it. You won't understand the methods of the great emperor. Right now, the most important thing is to cultivate well. I can feel that you already have the seed of the divine fire. Next, you just need enough power." Lin Xian said, "I know. I have already gathered a lot of power. I think I should be able to break through to the sacred clan this time. Then let's cultivate here first." Although the Dragon Emperor's corpse was gone, this place was indeed a treasure ground. It was a place personally chosen by the Dragon Emperor. The effect of cultivating here was much better than outside. Lin Xian nodded, indicating that he understood. Then he began to send a sound transmission to Morong Qingqing and the others, telling them to go back first. Outside, those people were still bewildered. What happened inside? They still didn't dare to go in. At this time, Morong Qingqing and the others were also stunned when they heard the rumors. Brother Xian is fine and still needs to cultivate inside. He just wants us to go back first. She found Yan Ryu, Bai Susu, and the Crimson Dragon to discuss. Bai Susu said, "If they left just like that, it would be too obvious. Perhaps others would rush in to investigate. After all, there was no danger inside. How about this? We will pretend to go to other halls to search for treasures. After a while, we will find an excuse to leave." After Murong Qingqing and the others heard this, they all nodded. "All right, let's do it this way." Murong Qingqing asked the Old Phoenix and the others to leave first. The Old Phoenix led the Phoenix clan's people to the other halls to search. After a few days, they seemed to have found something. The eyes of the surrounding great emperor clans turned red. Damn it, was Lin Wudy dead? Who knows, but he's dead for sure. He had offended a great emperor, so it was impossible for him to walk out alive. Then why are we still here? I see that the Phoenix clan has gone to look for treasures. Let's go too. I don't want to face the desolate dragon ancient coffin in front anymore. Let's go to the other halls. These monarch clans and remote antiquity clans discussed for a while before leaving one after another. The people from the Z government and the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty also left. They felt that there was no more suspense. Let's go too. Murong Qingqing and the others also left with the Divine Union. In the remaining time, these people started searching for treasures in the other halls. In fact, from time to time, battles would break out. In the spacious hall ahead, Lin Xian sat down cross-legged. He started to cultivate. The divine flame seed between his eyebrows was slowly growing, and his cultivation was also slowly increasing. He was very close to becoming a divine ancestor. It wouldn't be long before he broke through to become a divine lord. Outside, these people were bewildered. The news of the Dragon Emperor ancient tomb being opened had spread throughout the buried Emperor Star. Countless people were paying attention to this place. However, a great emperor was too terrifying. Apart from the monarch clans who had brought along extreme weapons, only the most elite remote antiquity clans could enter. Moreover, they had to enter together with the monarch clans. After that, no one else could enter. Moreover, in the past few days, another matter had swept across all directions and attracted everyone's attention. Z Mansion residence. In a mysterious pavilion, a figure woke up from a deep sleep. He slowly opened his eyes and roared. He roared at the sky, and purple chi rushed out from his body, sweeping in all directions. The world was shocked. Everyone in the buried Emperor Star was alarmed. This aura is so terrifying. I feel like there's a heavenly phenomenon. Did someone break through? One after another, cries of surprise sounded out. Everyone went to investigate. That should be the direction of the Z Mansion. Could it be that Yao Guang broke through? Hearing this, the surrounding people's scalps went numb. Yao Guang was a cultivator of the devouring demonic technique. Did he devour someone powerful? However, this time they guessed wrong. It wasn't Yao Guang. The people in the Z Mansion were also shocked and looked over. Yao Guang walked out from a palace. He looked into the distance with a cold expression. This aura was too powerful. It had surpassed his. In his mind, 9 firmament, quasi-emperors' voice sounded out. Triple Crown Champion? He had awakened faster than he had imagined. Yao Guang coldly snorted and clenched his fists. One day, I will also become the Triple Crown Champion. 9 firmament, quasi-emperor said. You should recover from your injuries first. Yao Guang turned around and entered the darkness. The other elders in the Z mansion were excited. He had awakened. The Triple Crown Champion had awakened. They all walked towards the heaven-connecting pagoda in the distance. They waited there. Within the heaven-connecting pagoda, a man in purple opened his eyes. There was a trace of confusion in his eyes. After a long time, the light slowly returned to his eyes. He stood up and clenched his fists. Then he looked around him. Had he awakened? He wondered how long he had been asleep this time. Greetings, Triple Crown Champion. In the 4 corners of the room, there were 4 old figures. They stood up, their faces pale. It was these 4 people who had been responsible for awakening Triple Crown Champion. Triple Crown Champion looked at the 4 old men and asked in a low voice, "How many years had it been?" One of the old men said, "You have been asleep for 23,000 years. Now is a golden age. Someone in this generation will definitely become a great emperor." A golden age? Triple Crown Champion nodded. The corners of his mouth curled up. Then the one to become a great emperor will definitely be me. He walked out with large strides. As he walked down the stairs, he discovered that there were even more people waiting outside. These people were curiously sizing up the person in front of them. What a terrifying aura! Was she the Triple Crown Champion? Just how terrifying was this person's strength? She had surpassed Linwoody and was a light-shaking realm cultivator. These people sighed in amazement. Just a trace of her aura was enough to make them feel as if they were facing a powerful enemy. Purple Underworld walked out, looked around, and harumphed coldly. A domineering aura emanated from his body, sweeping out in all directions. These people felt their scalps go numb. They all lowered their heads, not daring to look. Where was this generation's palace lord? Purple Underworld stood with his hands clasped behind his back. He was like a god looking down on the world. Very quickly, 3 old men walked over from the distance. These 3 were very old, like living fossils. They were the Grand Elders. They said that the Palace Lord had brought people to attack the Dragon Emperor's tomb. "We are the Grand Elders of this generation. We have come to welcome you." Chapter 5486. Attack the Dragon Emperor's tomb? Hearing this, Ziming was also astonished. Had this era already become so terrifying? They dared to attack the tomb of a great emperor? It's a long story. Triple Crown Champion, please come with us. The 3 elders were very polite. Although they were living fossils, the person in front of them was a Triple Crown Champion. In the Dragon Transformation Battle, Linwoody, Yao Guang, and the others were Double Crown Champions. The Triple Crown was in existence above Linwoody and Yao Guang. They naturally didn't dare to be careless. Zi Ming nodded and followed the 3 elders into the distance. Everyone stepped aside to make a path for him. Zi Ming wanted to hear how these people explained. At the same time, he said loudly, "Inform everyone that in 3 days, I want everyone in the Purple Mansion to come and see me." When these words came out, everyone was shocked. Many people's scalps went numb. Everyone in the Purple Mansion greeted him. Who did this guy think he was? Mansion Master? What a joke! This guy was too arrogant. However, the 3 elders said, "Don't worry, we'll take care of this matter." After Ziming woke up, he had been very domineering and didn't put these people in his eyes. Even in front of the elders, he didn't hold back, because he had the right to do so. He was a Triple Crown Champion, and his strength was enough to split heaven and earth. These elders might not be able to beat him. Therefore, he seemed to have turned into the king of the Purple Mansion and had no scruples here. After entering a large hall, The three supreme elders recounted what had happened in detail. Zi Ming narrowed his eyes. Lin Wudi and Yao Guang. One of them was first in the dragon transformation battle, and the other cultivated the demonic engulfing art? Interesting. Then, when he heard that even people with born Taoism aptitude and light race had appeared, he was shocked. Born Taoism aptitude, one of the top 10 physiques in the universe. The light race had been extinct. He didn't expect that there were still people alive. As expected of the Golden Age, it seemed that this generation would have a great emperor. However, they didn't have any hope. Lin Wudi, the light race, and Yao Guang were no match for him. No matter how strong they were only double crown champions. And he was a triple crown champion. Go and prepare. I want to see everyone in 3 days, Violet Shade said in a deep voice. These utmost exalted elders were also frowning deeply. They were polite because they valued the other party. However, this Zi Ming was a bit too arrogant. Did he really treat them like servants? One of the red-haired grand elders said, "You just woke up. You should rest for a while." Another supreme elder wearing a blue robe also spoke. "That's right, we have awakened you this time because we have a very big mission for you. You have to deal with Lin Wudi and destroy it. He is our greatest enemy." "Are you ordering me around?" Zi Ming's face darkened. Suddenly, he attacked the red-haired old man with lightning speed. His palm seemed to have transformed into a purple lightning bolt. "How dare you!" The red-haired old man was also furious. Previously, the other party had been arrogantly ordering them around, causing him to be furious. Now, the other party actually dared to directly attack him? He didn't hold back anymore. He clapped his hands, which turned into a cloud of fire that swept out in all directions. Boom! An earth-shattering sound rang out. The entire hall split open. Endless cracks appeared in the sky, and the mansion shook. At this moment, everyone was stunned. What happened? Was someone fighting? They all soared into the air and looked into the distance. In the shattered ruins, a figure kept retreating. It was the red-haired old man. At this moment, his palm was split open, and his arms were trembling. Saint blood dripped down, sinking the ground. His eyes were filled with horror. He was injured. The other party had injured him so easily. Zi Ming retracted his palm and stood with his hands behind his back. "It seems that you still don't know my identity. I am the Triple Crown champion. I didn't awaken at your command. I was ordered to lead you. Now, obediently do as I say and respect me. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude." As he spoke, he took a step forward. The aura on his body suddenly exploded, as if a primordial beast had been resurrected. The three utmost exalted elders' expressions changed. This aura was really too powerful. They were like small boats swaying in a storm. In addition, their companion, the red-haired old man, was very powerful, yet he was injured in a single attack. Was this the strength of the Triple Crown champion? It was so terrifying. It seemed that no one at the peak of the great sage realm could suppress him. What happened? Utmost exalted elders. The young cultivators and the old elders in the distance all rushed over to ask. The hall was in ruins. Who was it? Was someone ambushing them? When they saw that the red-haired old man was injured, they saw that the utmost exalted elders were injured on the screen. Who was the one who did this? When they saw a purple figure standing opposite the three utmost exalted elders, their scalps went numb. Could it be that the Triple Crown champion had attacked again? They couldn't believe it. These people landed and looked at the utmost exalted elders. The blue-haired elder said, "If there's nothing else, leave." The red-haired old man's arm recovered. He said, "I'm sparring with the Triple Crown champion. If there's nothing else, leave." He really was fighting the Triple Crown champion, and the Triple Crown champion had injured the utmost exalted elders. Heavens, this was the power of the Triple Crown champion. It was really too terrifying. Since it was a sparring session, they didn't think too much and left. Zi Ming narrowed his eyes and said, "You all can leave as well." In 3 days, I want to see everyone." As he spoke, he soared into the air and flew into the distance. After seeing Ziming leave, the blue-robed old man coldly snorted. This guy was really arrogant. The other utmost exalted elder frowned. Ziming's strength was really too terrifying. The red-haired old man also sighed. "I'm no match for him. Even if the three of us attacked, I'm afraid we wouldn't be able to suppress him. Moreover, we have no reason to attack him. Although he's a bit arrogant, he's still a member of the Purple Mansion. Let's listen to him for now and wait for the Purple Mansion to return." The three elders sighed. They didn't know if letting out such an arrogant Triple Crown champion was a blessing or a curse for them. Next, the three elders went to inform the people of the Purple Mansion. 3 days later, they gathered. The people of the Purple Mansion were shocked. They all began to move. 3 days later, the square in front of the Purple Mansion's main hall was filled with people. It was so large that one couldn't see the end of it. These were all people who were qualified to be here. There were also some who weren't. They stood there extremely puzzled. They didn't know why the utmost exalted elder had called them here. Among them, there were many experts of the older generation and the 9 successors. These people were also puzzled. Qin Xianer was also among them. She said, "I heard that the Triple Crown champion woke up some time ago. Perhaps this gathering has something to do with him." Chapter 5487. At this moment, a man in purple walked out from the hall in front of them. He looked arrogant, as if a divine king had descended. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air when they felt this aura. Countless pairs of eyes looked forward. Was he the Triple Crown champion? Ziming's eyes turned into purple lightning and looked forward like a peerless divine sword. He looked at the 9 successors, the elders of the older generation, the young geniuses, and some people who had awakened from their deep slumber. Then he asked, "Is everyone here?" The red-haired grand elder walked over and said, "The people who followed the mansion master haven't returned yet." In addition, Yao Guang was injured and was still recovering in seclusion. "Yao Guang?" Ziming asked. "Is he the successor of the demonic sky-devouring technique?" "That's right." The grand elder nodded. Ziming snorted coldly. "This Yao Guang is too arrogant. Didn't I say that everyone should come? How dare he be so arrogant?" Everyone was shocked by the cold snort. The grand elder said that Yao Guang was injured. However, Ziming waved his hand and stopped him. "Where is Yao Guang? If you don't tell me, I'll use my own methods to find her one by one. But when the time comes, the Purple Mansion will be destroyed." Ziming's voice was incomparably cold. The grand elder had no choice but to grit his teeth and say, "In the 7th palace." The Purple Mansion was very big and had many areas. Yao Guang's residence was the 7th palace. The majestic main hall stood tall on the ground, and the array flickered. Ziming rushed into the sky. The 7th palace? He rushed over. The grand elder's pupils shrank. "Oh no, what is this guy going to do?" They also followed. The others followed. The 9 geniuses, the other elders, and those who had awakened from their deep slumber all followed. They also wanted to see what the Triple Crown champion was going to do. They knew that Yao Guang was very strong. He was second in the dragon transformation realm, second only to Lin Wudi. His future was unparalleled. He had a very high status in the Purple Mansion. Now that the other party was injured and couldn't come, what could the Triple Crown champion do? Some people were in the mood to watch a show because they felt that the Triple Crown champion was too arrogant. He had just awakened and he didn't care about everything. How dare he summon them? He was also rude to the Grand Elder. Soon, they arrived above the 7th palace. Looking at the majestic palace below, Ziming coldly snorted and slapped out with his palm. The purple thunderbolt transformed into a giant hand, blotting out the sky as it charged towards the 7th palace. The array outside flickered, and then it shattered with a loud bang. The sky was filled with the sound of thunder. Everyone was pushed back by this force. They were all dumbfounded. This guy actually dared to make a move. The Grand Elder's expression also changed. Just as they were about to say something, Ziming coldly snorted. "Yao Guang, come out and see me." The seventh hall shook violently. The array formation shattered, and the fragments of the laws scattered all over the floor. The palace was shaken, and the light-shaking realm cultivators opened their eyes. His face darkened. Someone dared to attack him at this time, disturbing his cultivation. Who was so reckless? Killing intent emerged from his body. Immediately after, he heard a voice. "Yao Guang, come out and see me." The light-shaking elder was enraged. He coldly harumphed, and his figure flickered as he walked out. He looked up at the sky. "Who dares to attack my residence? Do you want to die?" He stared at Ziming. Ziming coldly laughed. "You're the light-shaking elder? Did you receive the recruitment order I sent earlier?" Ziming frowned. It was actually this guy. He had met this person before. Wasn't this the Triple Crown champion who had just awakened? The other party had actually come to cause trouble for him. When he heard this, he coldly harumphed. "I'm injured, so I must go into seclusion to cultivate." Ziming laughed. "You dare to disobey my orders? It seems that you don't know how powerful I am." As he spoke, he waved his hand. A bolt of lightning flew out, directly attacking the light-shaking elder. The light-shaking elder's expression changed. "You're courting death." He struck out with his palm, forming a monstrous barren crack that tore the sky apart. He blocked the bolt of lightning. However, his body still swayed and he retreated. There was nothing he could do. The other party was the Triple Crown champion, while he was only the Double Crown champion and he was injured. The difference in strength between the two was extremely large. Seeing that the light-shaking elder was being targeted, the surrounding people also cried out in surprise. Ziming coldly laughed. "Successor of the demonic heaven-devouring art, I want to see what qualifications you have to be arrogant in front of me." As he spoke, he waved his hand again. He seemed to have transformed into a purple thunder god. Then he waved his claw, and the thunder god's claw covered the sky as it attacked the light-shaking elder. The light-shaking elder's pupils constricted, and he tried to dodge. He used the Gu clan's spatial divine ability, but he was still knocked out. He spat out large mouthfuls of blood. The others were in an uproar. Wasn't light-shaking elder injured? The Triple Crown champion was actually so powerful. Some people also said that it was because light-shaking elder's injuries had not healed. Otherwise, she would not have been injured so easily. Light-shaking elder was also furious. Damn it! A black vortex appeared on his body, and at the same time a primal chaos aura spread out. "If you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish." At this moment, he used his strength to the extreme, and he did not care about the injuries he suffered. As soon as the primal chaos physique appeared, it possessed the power to split heaven and earth, and condensed into the bloodline divine axe. With a swing of the axe, heaven and earth split open. It appeared, the light-shaking elder's most powerful technique. Countless people cried out in surprise. Previously, this axe had defeated countless experts, and it had only lost to Lin Wudi. Presumably, this attack could definitely threaten the Triple Crown champion. When he saw this, the Triple Crown champion narrowed his eyes. The power of the primal chaos race. It seems that you have devoured a primal chaos genius. But so what? You're too weak. You don't understand the Triple Crown champion's strength at all. Let me show you what my true strength is. Endless lightning circled around his body, and he also carried a sinister aura, as if he had rushed out from hell. The lightning formed a purple spear, and it pierced downwards. The spear pierced through heaven and earth, and it carried with it a destructive power. In an instant, it pierced through the 9 heavens. Not good, it's the underworld spear. When the Grand Elder saw this, he cried out in surprise. Light-shaking elder! Light-shaking elder! Roared angrily. Slash! The bloodline divine axe in her hand slashed downwards. This axe was so powerful that it was as if an ancient mountain had descended, and it turned the void into a black hole. Endless darkness descended. Everyone's scalps went numb, and they frantically retreated. However, in this darkness, a purple arc of lightning flashed rapidly. He split the darkness apart and crashed into the bloodline divine axe. With a clang, the bloodline divine axe was pierced through. Light-shaking elder was also sent flying. His body had been pierced through by the purple lightning, and he was nailed to the ground. Ah! A frenzied roar rang out. When everyone saw this scene, they were incomparably terrified. Light-shaking elder's strongest attack had been broken so easily? Was this the strength of the Triple Crown champion? It was too terrifying. It was so powerful that it made people despair. Chapter 5488. The people from the Purple Mansion sect couldn't believe what they were seeing. Even the 3 Grand Elders were dumbfounded. They knew that there was a gap between the two sides, but they didn't expect it to be so big. Yao Guang was defeated so easily. It was beyond their expectations. The purple underworld slowly descended. It landed on the ground and walked forward. You're pitifully weak. I just used a few moves, and you were defeated. As soon as he finished speaking, he arrived in front of Yao Guang. He stepped on Yao Guang's head and asked coldly, "Now you know the gap between us. Do you still think you have the right to be arrogant in front of me?" Shock. Incomparable shock. Everyone went crazy. Was this the Triple Crown champion? After all, Lin Wudy had used his full strength to defeat a light-shaking realm cultivator. But now, the Triple Crown champion had easily defeated a light-shaking realm cultivator and was even stepping on Yao Guang's head. This was a complete one-sided victory. Yao Guang was also shocked. How could there be such a powerful person? After all, his only enemy was Lin Wudy. He didn't care about anyone else, even if he knew that the Triple Crown champion had appeared. So what? In his opinion, even though he was only the Double Crown champion, he would have no problem defeating the Triple Crown champion. After all, he had many trump cards, so he didn't care about his opponent at all. But now he realized that the situation wasn't like that at all. The Triple Crown champion's strength was far beyond his expectations. Damn it, my injuries haven't healed yet. Otherwise he would have. However, Purple Underworld sneered. Your injuries haven't healed, stupid thing. Even if your injuries were healed, 10 of you wouldn't be able to defeat me. He stomped on Yao Guang's body and shattered it. I don't like people who resist me. Even though you're a genius expert, if you dare to resist me, you can go to hell. A cold killing intent appeared in Purple Underworld's eyes. This time he had come out with the intention of taking over the entire Purple Mansion sect. Yao Guang didn't give him face during his first summon. He planned to kill him to intimidate everyone. Sensing this killing intent, the distant descendants were shocked. Heavens, he actually wanted to kill Yao Guang. The 3 Grand Elders also shouted angrily. No. The light-shaking realm was extremely important to them. If he were to die, they would not be able to accept it. Yao Guang's pupils shrank as she sensed a fatal danger. She knew that the other party was really going to kill her. A furious roar rang out. Damn it, are you still not going to make a move? Quasi-Emperor Jiu Shao sighed in his mind. In the last battle, the remnant soul of the 9 Firmament Quasi-Emperor was also injured and did not have much strength left. But now he had no choice but to make a move. It seemed that after this attack, he would have to go into a deep sleep again. Boom! The remnant soul of the 9 Firmaments Quasi-Emperor went out and struck out a large, illusory hand. It collided with the other party's lightning. A world-shaking sound rang out, and the Triple Crown King was forced back. The lightning on his body had dimmed significantly, causing him to frown deeply. His gaze pierced through the void as he stared ahead. You actually still have a trump card? Yao Guang stood up, and her shattered body recovered. His face became incomparably gloomy, and at the same time a powerful soul force rushed out. It covered the sky and covered the earth. Feeling the aura of this soul, the surrounding people felt their scalps go numb. They couldn't help but want to kneel down and worship it. The three grand elders' pupils shrank. This was the aura of a quasi-emperor. They cried out in alarm. The Triple Crown King was also shocked. He didn't expect the other party to have the power of a quasi-emperor. Although he was the Triple Crown King, he was still no match for the power of a quasi-emperor. But soon he laughed coldly. So it was just a trace of power. It was only enough to protect himself. How long could you use the power of a quasi-emperor for? He took a step forward. The power in his body erupted once again. Yao Guang soared into the sky and stared coldly at the Triple Crown King. Just you wait. Today, you dared to attack me and injure me. In the future, I will pay you back 100-fold. As he spoke, he tore through the void and disappeared. He actually escaped. Zi Ming frowned, but he didn't give chase. The other party had the power of a quasi-emperor. He couldn't kill him now, but he didn't care about such a threat. Now that he had awakened and was in the golden age, he would also break through one day. He would become a quasi-emperor. At that time, it would be easy for him to kill the other party. The others were all shocked. The Yao Guang had actually escaped. It was too unbelievable. This was a Yao Guang. Even against Lin Wuti, he wouldn't have escaped. He even dared to challenge Lin Xian. But now, in front of the Triple Crown King, he had no power to resist. In the end, if the quasi-emperor hadn't appeared, the Yao Guang would have died. Now, they looked at Zi Ming with fear in their eyes. This person was undefeatable. Zi Ming coldly harumphed. You ran fast. He turned around and looked at the others. Is there anyone else who wants to challenge me? The surrounding disciples, experts, and elders all lowered their heads. No one dared to challenge him. The three supreme elders also sighed. Good. Zi Ming's lips curled up. From now on, he was the leader of the Purple Palace. Next, let's talk about Lin Wuti. I heard that he was even stronger than this Yao Guang. But in my eyes, he was also an ant. He challenged the Purple Palace many times, and you couldn't do anything. But since I've awakened, I will kill him. I will let everyone know the power of the Purple Palace. Everyone was shocked when they heard this. Was this guy going to attack Lin Wuti? Some of the Purple Palace experts smiled. That's great. Although the Triple Crown King was arrogant and overbearing, he was still a member of the Purple Palace. Lin Wuti was their enemy, and the Triple Crown King could easily defeat the Yao Guang. Although Lin Wuti was stronger than the Yao Guang, he would still die if he encountered the Triple Crown King. Qin Xianer's eyes shrank. This time, she was really worried about Lin Xian. She took a deep breath and walked out. From what I know, Lin Wuti also went to the Dragon Flower Ancient Tomb. Since he hasn't come out yet, why don't we do other things first? It won't be too late to make a move after Lin Wuti comes out. Qin Xianer wanted to buy some time so that she could send a message to Lin Xian. She wanted Lin Xian to quickly leave this place. Oh, he's not here either? But it doesn't matter. Even if he's not here, his sect should be. I heard it's called the Divine Union. We can make a move against him first. How about this? I'll give you 3 days to prepare. After 3 days, follow me to destroy the Divine Union. Once these words were spoken, countless people went into an uproar. Some people clenched their fists. Destroy the Divine Union. Fine, they would destroy the Divine Union first and wait for Lin Wuti to come back before destroying him. Everyone knew that the Divine Union was really finished this time. They quickly made their preparations. Zi Ming's lips curled into a smile. First place in the dragon transformation battle? Invincible. In front of him, everyone was an ant. Chapter 5489. The people in the Dragon Emperor's ancient tomb did not know about this yet. The Emperor clan and remote antiquity family searched the other halls and found fewer and fewer treasures. They were ready to leave. In the deepest part of the palace, there was still no one who could enter. Only Lin Xian sat there cross-legged, cultivating. The aura on his body was getting stronger and stronger. It would not take long for him to break through and reach the peak of the Great Sage Realm. However, a storm was brewing in St. Origin Ancient City. This ancient city had been around for a long time, and there were countless families and sects in it. The Divine Union was one of them. It had been established in recent years. This was unbelievable. In this ancient city, these families and sects had been around for thousands or even tens of thousands of years. No one had been able to establish a sect here in the past 1,000 years, let alone in the past 100 years. However, Lin Xian had done it. He had established the Divine Union single-handedly and stood tall in this ancient city. The moment it was established, it had swept through everything. The Divine Union was a top-notch existence in this ancient city. At this moment, there was a group of powerhouses in the sky. The leader was Ziming. Behind him were the elders. They were successors and powerhouses. The 3 grand elders were in charge of guarding the Purple Mansion to prevent others from sneaking up on them. This time, not everyone had come. It could be said that less than half of them had come. However, everyone was confident because they had the Triple Crown Champion. Actually, a Triple Crown Champion was enough to sweep through everything and destroy the entire Divine Union. They had only brought others along to create a grand scene. Was the Divine Union below? It was said that this was a force that had been established in the ancient city recently. However, it was a pity that he was going to be destroyed from today onwards. Ziming looked down at the palace below with a cold smile on his face. At the same time in the Purple Mansion, Qin Xianer looked up at the sky with a grave expression. This time she did not follow. Instead, she chose to stay in the Purple Mansion. She was friends with Lin Xian, so she could not do anything to the 3 alliances. More importantly, it would be easier for her to transmit information if she stayed here. At this moment, he formed a hand seal and created a transportation array to send the message out. Lin Xian, this is all I can do to help you. Hurry up and leave. Don't go against the Triple Crown Champion. Qin Xianer shook her head and sighed. She started to wait anxiously. Meanwhile, in the Divine Union, Fu Hongya frowned. When he received the news, he immediately summoned a few people. Among them were Nailin Liang, Yu Ren, and Shangguan Shaoxian. These people were either disciples of the Divine Union or Peerless City. At this moment, they gathered together and began to discuss. Why are you looking for us? Nailin asked. Yuren also said, Senior Brother Fu, your complexion doesn't look too good. On the other hand, Fu Hongya's expression was grave. He had said that something bad had happened and that someone was going to attack the Divine Union. Hearing this, Fatty Nailin laughed. I say, have you not been resting well recently? What nonsense was he talking about? Who dares to attack the Divine Union? That was it. Yuren also shook his head. The Divine Union was a top-notch sect in Ancient City. More importantly, our boss, Lin Wudi, was the champion of the Dragon Transformation Trial. Who would dare to provoke him? However, Fu Hongya's brows were tightly knitted together. He said that the situation was not optimistic. This time around, Little Uncle Master was not around. As for the other powerful beings, many of them had left as well. Our Divine Union's defenses aren't that strong right now, so the other families and sects wouldn't dare to make a move. This was because they were afraid of Little Uncle Master. However, not everyone was afraid. This time, it was the people from the Purple Mansion. Hearing this, Fatty Nailin was instantly enraged. Did the Purple Mansion not know what was good for them? Shangguan Shaoxian also said that the Purple Mansion's top genius, the Light-Shaking Realm, had already lost to Little Uncle Master. They still dared to behave atrociously here? Hongya shook his head. I received news that the Triple Crown Champion in the Purple Mansion has awakened. He is currently leading people to attack the Divine Union. Triple Crown Champion? Fatty Nailan sucked in a breath of cold air when he heard this. Fu Hongya nodded. He had defeated Yao Guang in one move and had even almost killed her. If it weren't for the fact that Yao Guang had the strength of a quasi-emperor, she would have already died. Even so, Yao Guang had escaped from the Purple Mansion and her whereabouts were unknown. What? This time, Fatty Nailan and the others were completely stunned. They knew how terrifying Yao Guang was. Yao Guang was second only to Lin Xian. Even Lin Xian had to go all out to defeat Yao Guang. However, he had been defeated in one move. Then, how terrifying was this Triple Crown Champion? They didn't dare to imagine. And now, such a person had actually come to attack them. Damn it, when would Boss Lin return? They were really anxious this time. Fu Hongye said that she had asked and he couldn't return yet. This time, we will have to rely on ourselves. However, I have already sent a message to the Crimson Dragon and the others, asking them to return quickly. We have to make preparations too. Shangguan Shaoxian took a deep breath. Let's activate the Great Array first. Fortunately, the Crimson Dragon had left many arrays for us. Now let's activate them all and go all out. That's right, before the Crimson Dragon and the others and Boss Lin return. We have to do everything we can. We have to stop them. The Divine Union is Boss Lin's blood, sweat, and tears. We can't let it be destroyed in our hands. Fatty Nailan and the others also stood up. Their eyes were filled with determination as they defended the Divine Union with their lives. These people started to move. At the same time, the Divine Union was also mobilized. They started to gather energy and activate the array. They didn't know what was going on. They only knew that a strong enemy was attacking. Boom! At the same time, Purple Ming's people quickly descended from the sky. In the next moment, they tore through the void and descended. In an instant, they arrived above the Divine Union. At the same time, a fierce attack was launched. It turned into a purple thunderbolt and blasted towards the Divine Union below. With a loud boom, the thunderbolt, which contained endless destructive power, shattered everything. The vast power spread in all directions. At this moment, the entire saintly origin ancient city shook violently. Countless families and sects in the ancient city looked up at the sky. Damn it, what was going on? There was a battle. It was an extremely terrifying battle. Who was it? They looked up at the sky. This direction seemed to be the direction of the Divine Union. Someone was attacking the Divine Union. It couldn't be, right? Didn't Lin Wudi and the others go to attack the Dragon Emperor's tomb? If the Divine Union was attacked now, they would be in real danger. Exclamations rang out one after another. The people of the three major orthodoxies were also stunned. The people of the Tao also looked up at the sky. Not good. The Divine Union is in danger. Hurry up and inform the elders. At this moment, everyone related to the Divine Union moved quickly. As for the people of the Divine Union, they were so shocked that their blood was boiling. They were terrified. Fortunately, they had activated the array in advance. Otherwise, countless people inside would have been annihilated by this attack. It's coming. Hongye and Shangguan Shaoxian also walked out of the hall. They looked up at the sky. They saw countless godlike figures descending from the sky. Chapter 5490. The entire ancient city was also alarmed. They were incomparably shocked as they watched this scene. Was someone attacking the Divine Union? Oh my God, was that really the case? Who was it? The Divine Union was like the sun in the sky. Who would dare to act recklessly? Everyone moved forward. The space around the Divine Union was constantly shattering as countless figures stood in the sky. Tens of thousands of nomological laws fell from their bodies and pierced through the sky. More importantly, the purple palm had shattered many of their arrays. The Divine Union was shaken. The people inside also walked out. They looked at the scene above them with solemn expressions. Fatty Nailan walked out and shouted in a cold voice. Who were these people? Leave quickly, or don't blame the divine union for being impolite. Countless nomological laws appeared in the divine union after he said that. The arrays were activated, and a few terrifying sacred weapons floated in the sky. Humph! Today is the day you die. A figure walked out from the sky. It was a descendant of the Z Mansion. He said loudly, "Today the Z Mansion is here to take revenge. We will destroy the divine union. Where is Linwoody? Get him out here." It was actually someone from the Z Mansion. The surrounding people were in an uproar. Fatty Nailan and the rest already knew. They frowned at the moment. Fu Hongye and the others searched the sky with their eyes. They knew that a Triple Crown champion had arrived. Who was it? Suddenly, they saw a figure standing among the countless experts. The aura of the other party was too terrifying. It was like a supreme god. Was this the Triple Crown champion? Countless people gasped. He was too strong. It felt as if the other party could turn them into ashes with a wave of his hand. Fu Hongye walked out and said, "I will give you one last chance to leave." Stupid. At this moment, Ziming also spoke up. The people from the Z Mansion did not dare to say anything. They just waited quietly. Ziming waved his hand. "Attack! Today we will make them disappear." After receiving the order, the people from the Z Mansion roared. Their attacks covered the sky and covered the earth. Had the battle really begun? Countless people were shocked. This Zifu Palace was too crazy. Damn it! Defend! Fu Hongye and the others knew how terrifying the Triple Crown champion was, so they prepared to defend. All they had to do was wait for the Crimson Dragon and Lin Xian to return. Countless formations lit up between heaven and earth, and one of them was a mountain-protecting formation. 36 cauldrons appeared at the same time. Each of them was like an ancient mountain suppressing the world. This was a formation set up by the Crimson Dragon. The Crimson Dragon was a Geomaster and had the Geomaster scripture. He used the power of the earth and combined it with his attainments in array formations to create the grand heavenly cycle array. This was an extremely powerful array formation. Even a sacred lord would not be able to open it. It served as the divine union's mountain protection array. At that moment, the cosmic cycle cauldron opened immediately. The people from the Purple Mansion also roared. They already had a grudge with the divine union, so they naturally wouldn't hold back. On top of that, they were led by a Triple Crown champion, so they were very confident. These people had sword chi soaring to the sky, saber chi flashing, thunder flame, ice frost, and demonic beasts. All kinds of attacks covered the sky and the earth, hitting the array formation. This caused the array formation to shake violently. This power was so shocking that the people in the ancient city felt their scalps go numb. If it had been any other ancient family, their defenses would have been torn apart long ago. Between heaven and earth, the 36 cauldrons floated up and down, releasing a heavy power. They actually blocked these attacks. This was even more shocking. The Divine Union's array formation was so terrifying. Even the people from the Purple Mansion were surprised. The leader of the disciples and the elders shouted angrily and attacked again. However, after 3 attacks, their faces had turned pale. The Divine Union's array formation had not been opened yet. This mountain protection array was too scary. Damn it, who was the one who set this up? Was it Linwoody? That was impossible. His array formation attainments were definitely not that strong. There was an array formation expert behind the Divine Union. These people were going crazy. This time, they had come with a strong intention to destroy the Divine Union. However, they couldn't even open the mountain protection array. If they returned empty-handed, the Purple Mansion would lose all face. Behind them, Ziming's face darkened when he saw this scene. He snorted coldly. "A bunch of trash. Get out of my way." Upon hearing this, the surrounding people retreated one after another. They knew that the Triple Crown champion was about to make a move. The other families and sects in Saintly Origin City were puzzled when they saw the scene. What was going on? The people from the Sky sect frowned. Was the Purple Mansion giving up? No, the people from the Earth sect realized that another person from the Purple Mansion had walked out. Heavens! Did he want to make a move alone? Who did he think he was? One had to know that the person in front of them was very unfamiliar. He didn't even have an extreme grade weapon. Previously, so many powerhouses had attacked together, but they hadn't been able to break the array formation. Could he do it alone? What a joke! Therefore, the people watching from afar shook their heads and sneered. They felt that the Purple Mansion was going to return empty-handed this time. After Ziming walked out, his eyes shone with a piercing, cold light. Purple sky, underworld, earth palm. He formed a seal with his palms, forming an ancient imprint. The power of the 9 heavens and the 9 underworlds was mobilized by him. It slowly condensed in front of him. Then, with a loud boom, it slammed towards the divine union. The sky split open and the earth shook. Everyone's hair stood on end. The people watching from afar narrowed their eyes. Damn it! What was going on? Many people were so frightened that they almost knelt on the ground. Who exactly was this person in front of them? This person was too strong. Why did they feel like they were facing a god? Their eyelids twitched. They now knew that they had underestimated the Purple Mansion. The person in front of them was an unimaginably mysterious existence. The people from the Divine Union narrowed their eyes as well. Fu Hongye roared, "Block it with all your might!" The universal cauldrons were unleashed to the extreme. The 36 cauldrons shone brightly between heaven and earth. They formed the strongest defense and collided with the palm. With a loud clang, the 9 heavens and 10 underworlds were pierced through. The people from the Divine Union felt their blood boiling. Some of the people watching from afar were shaken. Their souls split open and they vomited blood. With one strike, the 12 black cauldrons shook and cracks appeared on them. A few of them even cracked open. With one strike, the universal defensive array was broken. How was this possible? The people from the Divine Union were trembling. The others were even more stunned. This person alone had surpassed the combined strength of all the people from the Purple Mansion. He was too strong. He was unbelievably strong. When had such an expert appeared on Burial Earth Star? Was this the light-shaking realm? Which expert had the light-shaking realm swallowed? Someone exclaimed. Someone shook his head. No, he was not a light-shaking realm expert. He did not use the demonic, heaven-devouring technique. Why do I feel that this person is stronger than Lin Wudi? Chapter 5491. The strength of the purple figure in front of them exceeded everyone's expectations. They were guessing who it was. At the front, Ziming narrowed his eyes. He was surprised that the formation wasn't completely destroyed. After all, what he had just executed was an ultimate move. The purple sky underworld earth technique was made up of 2 extremely terrifying powers. When combined into a palm, its power was unparalleled. This strike of his could destroy any array formation. In his opinion, more than half of the Divine Union would be destroyed. However, only half of the array formation had been destroyed. This was completely beyond his expectations. This array formation wasn't ordinary. Ziming's eyes glowed purple as he stared down. The Divine Union was indeed powerful. However, he soon snorted. So what? He was here today. Was the Divine Union destined to be destroyed? He slowly raised his hand and prepared to execute the purple sky, underworld, earth palm again. Vast power surged between heaven and earth. The people of the Divine Union were in despair. Many of their elites had followed him to the Dragon Emperor Ancient Land. Although those who remained here were also geniuses, they couldn't compete with someone like the Triple Crown Champion. Shangguan Shaoxian gritted her teeth. If only Senior Brother Lin was here. Fatty Nailan added. Yes, as long as there was an Emperor weapon here, the Triple Crown champion wouldn't dare to act wildly. Stop! At that moment, an angry shout was heard from afar. It was from the Nailan family of the saintly origin ancient city. The Duga family and the Fire Dragon family had arrived. They were all from the Divine Union. Naturally, they had to come out when they saw the Divine Union being attacked. Fu Hongya and the rest's eyes lit up. Previously, they had received news from Qin Xianer in advance and had secretly mobilized their men. However, some of them were very far away. In addition, the Purple Palace sect had arrived very quickly, which was beyond their expectations. Therefore, the reinforcements hadn't arrived yet. At that moment, a few people from the ancient city had finally arrived. After they arrived, they gathered with the Divine Union and confronted the people from the Purple Palace sect. Did the Purple Palace sect have a death wish? How dare they make a move at this time? The Nailan family's leader snorted. The Dugu family's leader snorted. How despicable. Why didn't they come when Alliance leader Lin was here? If they had the ability, they should have fought Alliance leader Lin. The Fire Dragon family's leader snorted as well. How dare they attack the Divine Union? The three great families were very powerful. They were on the same side as the Divine Union. Oh, have reinforcements arrived? Zi Ming narrowed his eyes and glanced at these people, then shook his head. I thought it was some kind of expert, but it turned out to be a bunch of trash. Even if you come, it's useless. You can't change anything. You're calling us trash? The Fire Dragon was enraged, and so were the experts of the Dugu family. Say it again, who's the trash? Sword Qi surged from their bodies, and each of them carried a huge iron sword on their backs. The people of the Nailan family were also brimming with killing intent. Since you're so powerful, don't blame us for being impolite. Let's attack together. The experts of the three great clans roared and soared into the sky. They all wanted to see what gave the Z Mansion the right to be arrogant. Previously, the Purple Palace realm had been completely suppressed by the Divine Union. The strongest genius of the Zifu sect, Yao Guang, had been defeated by Lin Xian. The Purple Mansion realm had also been injured by the Divine Union several times. Now that the other party dared to behave so atrociously, wasn't he courting death? When the people of the Purple Mansion saw this, they sneered. They really didn't know what was good for them. The Purple Mansion realm was no longer the same as before. Now it was the Triple Crown King. Just wait and see. These people would regret it. They didn't take action, as the Triple Crown King hadn't given them any orders. Zi Ming looked at the experts of the three great clans and shook his head slightly. Ants were ants. It didn't matter how many of them there were. He formed another seal with his palm. The Thunder Beast shook the 9 heavens. Purple lightning filled its body, and it carried the aura of the Earth Demon. Then a Thunder Beast formed behind Zi Ming. A sea of lightning filled the sky, and it charged forward. A deafening roar shook the heavens and the earth. Countless lightning chains descended from the 9 heavens. It swept through the three great clans. In an instant, the three great clans seemed to have been struck by lightning, and they vomited blood as they were sent flying. This scene was very shocking. One person had defeated the three great clans. Countless people were shocked. The people of the three great clans were also crazy. How could he be so powerful? This wasn't the strength of a human. Ants were ants. No matter how many ants there were, they couldn't compete with a giant dragon. Zi Ming stood with his hands behind his back and said indifferently, "Is there anyone in the Divine Union who can fight? If not, I'll send you all on your way." Arrogance, boundless arrogance. Everyone was stunned. The people of the three great clans were injured. Below, the people of the Divine Union rushed out to support them and asked, "How are you?" The leaders of the three great clans smiled bitterly. "We are not a match for him. This is too terrifying." Fu Hongye said, "Let's stop talking and go back. Don't fight with him, just defend yourself." We still have the array to activate. Fire Dragon Lady frowned. It was useless, no matter how strong he was, unless Lin Gongzi and the rest came back. Otherwise, they would be in danger. The people of the Divine Union were also in despair. They were helpless against such an expert. It wasn't that they were weak, but the enemy was too strong. Ziming shook his head and sighed. This is really disappointing. I thought that the Divine Union would be full of experts. There were one or two who surprised me, but I didn't expect them to be a bunch of ants. Since that was the case, there was no need for them to exist. He walked forward. An endless killing intent appeared in his hands. Humph! You are too arrogant. A cold snort was heard. Countless large cracks appeared between heaven and earth. Then, a prehistoric force came crashing down. Everyone trembled, and in the next moment, they all turned their heads. The people from the Tao had arrived. It was the patriarch of the Tao sect. That's right, the savage wilderness patriarch had come. Some of the elders of the Tao had also come. They had an extraordinary relationship with the Divine Union, although they weren't from the Divine Union. The creator of the Divine Union, Lin Xian, had always been with them. Now that Lin Xian wasn't around and the Divine Union was in danger, they naturally had to come and help. After the savage wilderness patriarch arrived, he stared at the purple figure in front of him. The elders behind him were also shocked. Elder Bai had also come. He was extremely shocked. He knew that the strength of the Divine Union had already surpassed the remote antiquity families. However, they were now in such a miserable state. What exactly was going on? Who are you? Ziming looked in front of him and sneered. Are you here to stand up for the Divine Union? I am the savage wilderness patriarch of the Tao sect. Young man, leave quickly. I don't want to hurt you. The savage wilderness patriarch's voice was very loud and clear, spreading throughout heaven and earth. Ziming snorted when he heard this. The patriarch of the Tao sect? You are just an old thing. How dare you be so arrogant in front of me? Scram, or I will kill you. Chapter 5492. Everyone was stunned when they heard this. The savage ancestor was one of the Tao sect's patriarchs. His strength was terrifying, and his status was even more terrifying. Who dared to provoke him? But now a young man dared to be so arrogant, not putting him in his eyes at all. Who was this person? They were extremely curious. The savage ancestor's expression darkened as he took a step forward. He blasted out like a savage ancient beast, crushing heaven and earth. This attack was extremely terrifying. It could shatter everything. The surrounding people exclaimed. Heavens, the savage ancestor was really angry. That was for sure. He had used a peerless mystique the moment he attacked. They didn't know how the purple-robed man was going to block it. Everyone's eyes widened. Ziming snorted coldly. He also roared in anger and unleashed the purple heaven and earth handprint, charging forward to attack. The collision between the two was extremely terrifying. However, after the attack, the savage ancestor was pushed back, cracks appearing on his palm. His pupils shrank. The others were also shocked. It couldn't be. The savage ancestor was actually injured. This purple-robed man's strength was too heaven-defying. Who was he? You're just Kazo. Ziming retracted his palm and laughed coldly. The Divine Union's people despaired. Fu Hongya's expression was cold. She hurriedly sent a message to the Crimson Dragon and the others. If even the savage ancestor couldn't withstand it, then the extreme grade weapon had returned. Otherwise, the Divine Union would be completely finished. The savage ancestor was also shocked. Previously, the other party's arrogance had angered him. He planned to teach the other party a lesson. After all, he was one of the patriarchs. The age gap between them was very large. Normally, he wouldn't attack the younger generation. However, he couldn't care less now. However, after exchanging blows, he realized that he was gravely mistaken. The person in front of him was stronger than him. He wasn't even a match for him. The Purple Palace's strength far surpassed the light-shaking realm. Who was it that had appeared recently? The savage ancestor's eyes flashed. In the next instant, her pupils shrank as she cried out in surprise. Could it be that you're the Triple Crown champion? When these words came out, the others were also in an uproar. What? Triple Crown champion? Heavens! Was this an existence that surpassed the Double Crown champion? Yes, it was possible. The Purple Palace master had once told Lin Wudy to wait. Lin Wudy was arrogant, but they still had a trump card. That was the Triple Crown. Previously, he was in a deep sleep, but in order to kill Lin Wudy, I think they must have awakened the Triple Crown King. The person in front of him must be the Triple Champion. Other than such a person, no one else had the strength to possess such power. Everyone raised their heads and looked at the purple figure in the sky. Their faces were filled with shock. A genius who stood above all other experts had appeared. Triple Crown winner. Zi Ming stood with his hands clasped behind his back. He sneered. You old thing, you still have some vision. That's right. I am the Triple Crown King. Now that you know who I am, you can all kneel on the ground and submit. I can give you a quick death. He was extremely arrogant, but no one dared to resist, because the other party was the Triple Crown King. The savage desolation ancestor coldly harumphed. Damn it, he actually dared to look down on him. He also took out a giant axe. It was the Savage Great Axe. Savage 36 strikes. The giant axe danced, and it was as if countless ancient mountains were pressing down mercilessly. Heaven and earth crumbled. This was an extremely powerful axe technique that could definitely sweep through the crowd. When Zi Ming saw this, he sneered. Axe? Humph, that trash Yao Guang was defeated by me in one move even with the Bloodline Great Axe. You want to contend against me with just your axe? Too naive. When these words came out, everyone went crazy. Yao Guang was defeated in one move. That was the Double Crown King, and the second place of the Dragon Transformation Battle, only behind Lin Wudy. But he was defeated in one move. Didn't that mean that Lin Wudy was no match for this guy? It's over. Who can suppress this guy? I don't think any sage is a match for him. Unless they attacked accurately, no one could suppress the Triple Crown King. Amidst the countless discussions, Zi Ming raised his hand again, and a purple spear appeared in his hand. Arcs of lightning and killing intent appeared on it. In the next moment, he waved his arm forcefully. The purple spear turned into an eternity between heaven and earth and attacked the Savage Great Axe. With a clang, the 9 heavens and 10 earths shattered. Everyone was sent flying by the force, vomiting blood. The mountains and rivers below shattered, and the array cracked. The Savage Patriarch's Great Axe was sent flying. The Savage Patriarch's body was pierced, and he was nailed to the peak of a mountain after being pushed back dozens of mountains. This scene was extremely shocking. He had been defeated. The terrifying Savage Patriarch had been defeated in one move, and he had even been severely injured. Everyone despaired. They couldn't even withstand a single blow. Zi Ming snorted coldly. The people from the Purple Mansion behind him also widened their eyes. They had been defeated so easily. They had always thought that this would be a difficult battle, but the situation had completely exceeded their expectations. This was great. They were excited. If this continued, they could sweep through the Divine Union. In fact, no one in the world would be a match for them. They were too excited. Zi Ming slowly walked forward. It seemed like he didn't intend to let the Savage Patriarch go. Another purple lightning divine spear appeared in his hand, and he stabbed forward. Not good. The Savage Patriarch was in danger. The people from the Divine Union cried out in alarm. The Patriarch had to run. The other clans and sects were also shocked. Was one of the patriarchs of the Tao going to fall? The savage patriarch roared at the sky, but the purple lightning divine spear was too terrifying. It had pierced through his body. The electric arc made him powerless, and he couldn't move at all. This lightning was too terrifying. He roared at the sky, "Old friend, I'm counting on you." As soon as he said that, the void changed. A ray of light descended, enveloping the world. There, red-crowned cranes danced, and rainbows filled the air. It was a scene of immortals. Everyone was shocked to see this. It seemed like another expert had appeared. The savage patriarch hadn't come alone. The elders of the sky sect cried out in alarm. This was the fantasy world mortal realm. It was the fantasy world patriarch. That's right, it was another patriarch of the Tao. The fantasy world patriarch. He was an expert in illusions. His most powerful ability was that he had an illusionary world called the fantasy world mortal realm. In this world, he was the supreme king. After the fantasy world mortal realm descended, it enveloped the world. It also enveloped Ziming. He didn't attack the purple lightning divine spear because it was too powerful. Instead, he used his illusions to influence and control Ziming. Countless rainbow-colored chains danced in the air. Beside Ziming, an old voice rang out. Soul control. Ziming stopped in his tracks. The purple lightning divine spear in his hand also slowly disappeared. The destructive power between heaven and earth had disappeared. Everyone's eyes widened. Controlled? As expected of the fantasy world patriarch. This method was truly terrifying. Chapter 5493. That's great. Seeing this scene, the surrounding people were overjoyed. They had finally suppressed the Triple Crown champion. However, Fantasy World Ancestor's expression was extremely solemn. In the next moment, his pupils constricted. Oh no, he quickly retreated. The Triple Crown champion, who was being controlled, snorted coldly. His eyes suddenly burst with a terrifying light. It pierced through the fantasy world. Fantasy World Ancestor was sent flying, spitting out a mouthful of blood. His old face turned incomparably pale, as if he had aged a few hundred years in an instant. He was injured. The other party had broken his ultimate technique so easily. Soul attack? Not bad, but it was just a small trick. It was suitable for assassination. You want to control me with just you? What a joke! Purple Underworld snorted coldly and looked forward. Then he said, "Just you two old things? Is there anyone else who wants to fight? If not, I'll send you on your way." He walked over step by step, the killing intent on his body constantly erupting. Everyone was in despair. Could it be that even the two ancestors couldn't defeat him? The two patriarchs roared furiously as they joined forces to fight against Qinlai. The battle instantly broke out. However, after 30 moves, the two ancestors were sent flying again. Cracks appeared on their bodies. Sacred blood kept dripping, dyeing the sky red. He was too strong. They were no match for him at all. Everyone was in despair. At this moment, more experts from the sacred origin tower arrived. Those divine generals roared. They also helped, but they were no match for him. Without a boundary emperor, no one could suppress the Triple Crown champion. The spectators shook their heads and sighed. The people from the Purple Mansion sneered. This was great. In the Divine Union, Hong Yi and the others had solemn expressions. Seniors, enter the array together. I've already informed Uncle Master and the others. They should be back soon. We just have to hold on. Fantasy World Ancestor, Savage Wilderness Ancestor, and the other divine generals nodded. They had no choice but to descend and use the protective mountain array to its limit. The broken cauldron healed once again. Humph! You want to delay and wait for reinforcements? It's useless. I'll kill you first. Purple Underworld attacked again. However, this time, it wasn't just the power of the Divine Union. there was also the power of the Tao and the divine generals of the sacred Origin Tower. Therefore, it would take some time to break the array this time. On the other side, in the Dragon Emperor's tomb, the Crimson Dragon's expression changed when he received the news. The divine union was in danger. Morong Qingqing frowned. What was going on? The Crimson Dragon said that the Zifu Emperor had made his move, and the Triple Crown King had been revived. Triple Crown winner. Morong Qingqing's pupils shrank. This was not a good situation. These experts were all outside. What should they do? Let's go back immediately, Bai Susu said. Yan Ruyu said no. If we go back immediately, the people in front will definitely know. That would be troublesome. Many of those emperor clans have enmity with the Divine Union. If they join forces with the Triple Crown champion, we'll be in even more danger. Therefore, they had to restrain these people from the Emperor clan and then send some people back. Although the Triple Crown champion was powerful as long as he had an extreme grade weapon, he would be able to protect himself. When the time came, he would have to wait for Lin Xian to emerge. Morong Qingqing nodded and said, I'll stay here. Ruyu, go back with Ruzalong. You have an extreme grade weapon, and he has an array. The two of you will protect the Divine Union. Yan Ruyu nodded. All right, be careful. The Crimson Dragon also said, Do you know how to restrain them? Morong Qingqing's lips curled up. Of course, there was still the 10,000 Dragon Court. Previously, the 10,000 Dragon Court had mercilessly attacked these Emperor clans. Now, I'll take the lead and join forces with these Emperor clans to destroy the 10,000 Dragon Court first. As long as a war broke out, it would not end in a short time. These Emperor clans would not be able to deal with the Divine Union. All right, they would split up this time. Morong Qingqing, Bai Susu, and the others prepared to join forces with the Emperor clans to attack the 10,000 Dragon Court. As for Yan Ruyu and the Crimson Dragon, the two of them left quietly. These two were experts. Yan Ruyu even had an Emperor weapon. If she left under normal circumstances, she would definitely attract the attention of others. However, Morong Qingqing struck first to gain the initiative. When these people left the Dragon Emperor's tomb, Morong Qingqing said, Everyone, I think it's time to settle some grudges. Hearing this, the pupils of the Golden Crow tribe and the Purple Mansion sect shrank. Did he want to start a war? They thought that Morong Qingqing wanted to attack them. However, Morong Qingqing shook his head. No. Do you still remember what happened at the Imperial Spirit Garden? Back then, Huanlong controlled all of us. How did the 10,000 Dragon Court deal with us? They relied on Huanlong's power to steal our storage rings and kill our fellow sect members. Don't you think this grudge should be avenged? The Qilin tribe gritted their teeth when they heard this. The Golden Crow clan, the Twins of Destiny clan, and the others all frowned. However, this was the case. The 10,000 Dragon Court had really wanted to kill all of them at the Imperial Spirit Garden. If they did not have extreme grade weapons to protect themselves, they would have died long ago. That's right, it was time for revenge. The Fire Qilin also stared at the 10,000 Dragon Court. The Purple Mansion sect's lips curled up. It seemed like they had to let the 10,000 Dragon Court know the consequences of offending them. The others nodded. They were doing this to take revenge. However, they also had another thought. They had entered the Dragon Emperor's tomb and obtained many treasures, although this number could not be compared to what Lin Xian had obtained. But after all, they had stolen the Dragon Emperor's things. The 10,000 Dragon Court could not do anything now, but when they recovered in the future, would they take revenge on them one by one? When the time came, would they be able to block them? So now, why not work together to destroy the 10,000 Dragon Court? Then, they would have nothing to worry about. Damn it, how dare you! The 10,000 Dragon Court people hollered in rage and stared at Morong Qingqing. Morong Qingqing scoffed coldly. What did he not dare to do? He instantly charged out. The desolate tower suppressed the area. The 10,000 dragon courts, Long Mu roared and Long Tu attacked. Damn it, I will fight it out with you all. After the two of them attacked, the other emperor race people also attacked. The clan of the ancients also provided strength. They were determined to suppress the 10,000 dragon court. After all, they had stolen the tomb of the emperor, so they were definitely going to take revenge. Therefore, these people did not show any mercy when they attacked. Just like that, an earth-shattering battle broke out. The 10,000 dragon court was forced to retreat. However, although they were suppressed, they were in the dragon emperor's territory. Moreover, Long Mu was also one step away from the sage stage. He was very strong. It was impossible for the other party to kill him in an instant. However, based on this lineup, it was only a matter of time before they lost. At the same time, in the depths of the Dragon Palace tomb, Lin Xian frowned. He had also received news that the Divine Union was in danger. The Triple Crown King of the Z Mansion sect had also awakened. Was the other party coming for him? A cold killing intent appeared in his eyes. Chapter 5494. DeLong flew out and asked, "What's wrong? Is your soul very unstable?" Lin Xian suppressed his killing intent. "It seems like I'll have to leave early if someone dares to attack my sect." DeLong said, "Wait a little longer. You can leave after you break through to the peak of the Great Sage Realm. You can slowly refine the remaining power in the future." Lin Xian nodded. "Give me 2 more days, and I'll be able to break through." At this point, his eyes flashed with a terrifying radiance. The power in his body became even more terrifying, and the flame between his eyebrows became even more mysterious. He was trying his best to break through. On the other side, Murong Qingqing and the others were fighting a terrifying battle. Yan Ruyu and the Crimson Dragon were constantly building the space transportation array. They finally returned to Saint distant ancient city. By the time they arrived, their expressions had become extremely solemn. This was because they sensed an extremely terrifying power emanating from it. Oh no, the Divine Union was really in danger. However, the Divine Union's array formation was shattered once again. Zi Ming sneered. "A bunch of ants. Do you think you can escape my pursuit? What a joke. I'll let you know what despair is." He raised his hand. A terrifying handprint appeared between heaven and earth. It was like the handprint of a deity. If this handprint landed, half of the Divine Union would probably be turned into ashes. It was over. The Divine Union would probably cease to exist from now on. The people in the distance also shook their heads. Below, Hong Yi, Shangguan Shaoxian, and the others were in despair. Even the savage wilderness ancestor and the others were gnashing their teeth. Damn it! Just the Triple Crown champion was already so terrifying. Furthermore, the elites of the Purple Mansion realm had yet to make their move. It was over. The huge handprint in the sky descended. Everyone sighed. The people of the Divine Union closed their eyes. No, they let out an unwilling roar. An earth-shattering sound rang out. The sky collapsed and the earth cracked. Thousands of large cracks spread out in all directions, like space dragons bearing their fangs and brandishing their claws. The people in the ancient city were forced to retreat. The entire ancient city was shaking violently. Everyone in the ancient city looked up at the sky. The older generation powerhouses were terrified while the younger disciples were kneeling on the ground. Was the Divine Union going to be destroyed? Some clans shook their heads and sighed. Many people rose into the air and looked into the distance. That place should be in ruins. But when they opened their eyes to look, they were stunned. The smile on the faces of the people from the Purple Mansion sect also disappeared, replaced by an ugly expression. The purple palm print was blocked, and a green lotus bloomed between heaven and earth. It was extremely terrifying. The green lotus swayed gently, and the purple palm print instantly shattered the heavens and the earth. Moreover, a terrifying aura flew towards Ziming. Ziming's pupils shrank. His figure instantly tore open the void and disappeared. The place where he was originally standing shattered and turned into a black hole. He appeared on the other side. His face turned cold. Extreme weapon. The others were also in an uproar. Had the Divine Union's reinforcements arrived? Had Lin Wudi and the others returned? They looked in all directions. However, they discovered that only two figures were descending from the sky. It was Yen Ryu and the Crimson Dragon. The members of the Divine Union also cheered and heaved a sigh of relief. They were saved. After the Crimson Dragon descended, he looked at the people beside him and his face turned ugly. Although the array was not completely destroyed, the members of the Divine Union were still injured. Their bodies were stained with blood and their faces were pale. The aura of the old ancestors was very weak. Fu Hongya asked, "Has the young Uncle Master returned?" The Crimson Dragon replied, "Not yet. The two of us came back early. However, don't worry. Since we are back, we will not let anyone be in danger." He waved his dragon claws, and the spirit veins under the ground erupted again. He began to repair the array. At the same time, he turned his head and looked into the distance. He stared at a purple figure and furrowed his brows tightly. This was because he felt a fatal sense of danger. Triple Crown? The people from the Purple Mansion sect also had ugly expressions. An extreme weapon had appeared. In this way, it would be difficult to destroy the Divine Union. The other people in the ancient city were also surprised. They could not destroy the Divine Union. This was really surprising. Someone said that it was a pity that the Purple Mansion sect did not have a chance. Yes, the Divine Union's extreme weapon had gone to attack the Dragon Emperor's tomb. It was such a good opportunity, but now they had lost it. Ziming's brows were also tightly knitted together. Did he return so quickly? Was there a result from the Dragon Emperor's tomb? However, she did not care. If all the Emperor clans returned, the Purple Mansion sect could gather a few allies and work together to take out a few extreme weapons to confront the Divine Union. At that time, they would still have an advantage. However, after waiting for a while, no other extreme weapons appeared. This made him frown. Only one extreme, grade weapon came back. "You are the Triple Crown champion?" Yen Ryu shouted coldly. "Who are you? You must be the descendant of the Azure Emperor." Ziming snorted. "I heard that you are also Lin Xian's woman." "Why? Where is Lin Xian?" He did not dare to stand up, so he sent a woman? What a piece of trash. Do you only know how to hide behind a woman? Hearing this, the people from the Divine Union roared. "Damn it! What right do you have to challenge Boss Lin?" "That's right, Boss Lin can kill you with one slap." Ning laughed heartily. "Kill me? Just because of Lin Wudi? He did not have that right. I can kill him with a single move." He looked at Yen Ryu and said, "Looks like you are also a top expert. Do you dare to fight me without the power of the extreme weapon?" "Sister Ryu, don't fight him head-on," Shangguan Shaoxian exclaimed, and the others quickly retreated. Even Old Ancestor Barbarian King and Old Ancestor Huan Shi had been defeated so badly. It would be difficult to suppress the other party. Ziming laughed heartily. "What a piece of trash. You are so weak. Could it be that you can only rely on extreme weapons for the rest of your lives? I am now officially challenging the Divine Union." His voice spread in all directions. At this moment, countless remote antiquity families were shocked. Although the extreme weapons had returned and the Divine Union was safe, who would protect the Divine Union's glory? One had to know that, as a warrior, there were some things that were more important than life. For example, dignity and glory. These were more important than life. Now that their lives were not in danger, they would not be able to raise their heads again if they were slapped in the face by the Purple Mansion sect. Then, no one would look up to the Divine Union. What should they do? The Crimson dragon flew up. They could feel that the Triple Crown champion was really strong. Based on their understanding, the old ancestor's barbarian king and old ancestor, Huan Shi, had been defeated easily. Even a light-shaking realm expert had been defeated in a single move. This person was unbelievably strong. Time was running out. After Yan Ryu said this, she looked at the sky. She said, "I will fight you." The crowd was in an uproar. No way. Yan Ryu had actually agreed to fight. Chapter 5495. Impossible he couldn't win. Although he was also a top genius, he couldn't compare to the light-shaking realm cultivators at the Dragon Transformation Station. If even the light-shaking realm cultivators were defeated, it was impossible for him to win. He was just throwing his life away. Where was Lin Wuti? Why did he let his woman come out? Could it be that he was really afraid and was hiding? No. Something might have happened at the Dragon Emperor's tomb. Otherwise, why would only the two of them come back? The other Emperor clans didn't appear either. These people were surprised. Zi Ming's lips curled up. Your courage is commendable but too stupid. I agree to fight you. I'll even give you a handicap of one hand. Come on, use your strongest attack. Of course, in a fair fight, you can't use an extreme-grade weapon. That would be meaningless. An extreme-grade weapon was a great emperor's weapon. Anyone who held it could sweep through everything. Even if they couldn't defeat the enemy, they would be invincible. There was no point in fighting like that. Don't worry, I won't use an extreme-grade weapon. I'll use my own strength to fight you. But not now. 5 days later, before we fight, I've used too much energy. I've used up too much energy. You don't want to have an unfair advantage, do you? 5 days. The Purple Mansion's people's expressions changed. You want to extend the time? You want to wait for reinforcements. Lin Wuti couldn't come. He was already afraid and had run away. They roared. Zi Ming also frowned. He said, I can see that you've used up a lot of energy. But with your strength, 5 days? It wouldn't take that long. 2 days. I'll give you 2 days at most. After 2 days, you'll have to fight even if you don't want to. After he finished speaking, he stood there with his hands behind his back and continued to wait. He was very confident. So what if his opponent had an extreme-grade weapon? He was fighting a glorious battle now. As long as he could trample the Divine Union's glory under his feet, the Divine Union would no longer be a threat. Yanryu also sighed. She felt the other party's dominance and knew that he meant what he said. It seemed like there were only 2 days left. Would Lin Xian be able to come out in 2 days? He slowly descended and used the green lotus to envelop the Divine Union. The green lotus bloomed, forming an extreme-grade chi that enveloped the Divine Union. The members of the Divine Union looked solemn as well. Their lives were no longer in danger as they were protected by their ultimate weapons. However, their glory was being challenged. 2 days later, would Yan Ryu be able to withstand it? Most people knew that this was impossible. However, no one disturbed Yan Ryu. Everyone allowed him to recover with all his might. The Divine Union took out a huge amount of treasures and placed them in front of Yan Ryu. Yan Ryu didn't say anything either. He could only fight with his back against the wall. He began to recover silently. Meanwhile, the battle outside the Dragon Emperor's ancient tomb was even more terrifying. On the side of the 10,000 Dragons dynasty, they were about to bite into pieces. They were severely injured. Apart from them, the dragons under their command were also injured. The Wind Dragon tribe, the Thunder Dragon tribe, and the Dragon Sea tribe were all under their control. But even so, it was still very difficult for them to resist. At this moment, Murong Qingqing frowned. She had received Lin Xian's voice transmission. Qingqing, are you still near the Dragon Emperor's tomb? Take them away. I'm going to break through. Murong Qingqing's expression changed. Was he about to break through? She had to take these Emperor race people away. One had to know that these emperor race people thought that Lin Wuyi was dead. That was why they had joined forces to attack the 10,000 Dragon Court. If they knew that Lin Xian was still alive, they would definitely turn around and attack the Dragon Emperor's ancient tomb together. This was because, compared to the 10,000 Dragon Court, Lin Xian was a bigger threat. Morong Qingqing shouted angrily. She attacked with all her might. The ancient desolate tower was even more terrifying. It was fully awakened and released a shocking attack. With a boom, the 10,000 dragon picture was sent flying. Half of the 10,000 Dragon Court's people were turned into ashes. The Thunder Dragon tribe and the Wind Dragon tribe suffered even greater losses. Everyone was shocked. They hadn't expected Morong Qingqing to fully awaken her extreme weapon. Morong Qingqing's face was also pale. The old phoenix attacked. At the same time, he shouted coldly, "What are you Emperor race people waiting for? Hurry up and attack." The other Emperor race people also took a deep breath. It was time to end the battle. These people attacked one after another. The 10,000 Dragon Court people were completely unaware. Even Long Mu spat out large mouthfuls of blood. His body was shattered. He brought the 10,000 dragon picture and enveloped these dragon tribe experts. He said, "Let's go." They flew towards the 10,000 Dragon Court. "You want to leave? Where are you going?" Morong Qingqing led his people into the sky and chased after them. The rest of the people followed suit. In an instant, these people left the Dragon Emperor's ancient tomb to chase after the 10,000 Dragon Court. The ancient tomb fell silent again. Only the huge crack in the sky and the shattered mountains and rivers around it could be seen. However, at this moment, the sky suddenly darkened as if black clouds were pressing down on the city. Endless lightning suddenly descended and pierced through the heavens and earth. This scene was like the end of the world. The entire mysterious heavenly continent was shocked by this power. All of them were no longer fierce. Was the heavenly god angry? They didn't know. Fortunately, Morong Qingqing and the others acted quickly. Now, they had already left the Tianxian continent and were heading towards the 10,000 Dragon Court. Otherwise, those Emperor race people would definitely kill their way back. They would find out what was going on. In the depths of the ancient tomb, the void split open. A huge bolt of lightning struck Lin Xian's body, causing Lin Xian's body to sway. This bolt of lightning did not disappear. Instead, it continued to resist. His eyes were red as he roared towards the sky. This breakthrough was very dangerous. One had to know that he was someone from the immortal graveyard. There would be heavenly punishment attacking him outside. Originally, he would enter the sword world every time he broke through. However, he couldn't do it this time. He had already fused with the divine fire seed. He had to endure the lightning and fire. This was a checkpoint. If he couldn't withstand it, he might turn into ashes. However, DeLong said that if the lightning tribulation was triggered in the sword world, it would be too terrifying. With Lin Xian's current cultivation base, he wouldn't be able to withstand it at all. Therefore, Lin Xian had to endure the lightning in the outside world. Then he had to enter the sword world. As for heavenly punishment, he wasn't particularly worried about it. There were a few places that he couldn't enter. The first was the life realm, and the second was the place related to the great emperor. Right now, Lin Xian was in the Dragon Emperor's ancient tomb. The great emperor's aura here was extremely terrifying. The heavenly punishment would not descend, so Lin Xian only needed to use all his strength to deal with the lightning and fire. The bolt of lightning that fell at this moment was the first bolt of lightning. There was only one bolt, but it lasted for a very long time. Lin Xian's body cracked, but it recovered in an instant. He resisted with all his might and roared towards the sky. This was not the first time he had dealt with lightning strikes. He was very experienced. Therefore, even though the first bolt of lightning was terrifying and injured Lin Xian was still able to withstand it. However, he wasn't playing around. there were still two fires left, the heavenly fire and the earth fire. Other than the lightning, there was also the fire tribulation. However, the fire tribulation was very mysterious. At least, Lin Xian had never experienced it before. Therefore, he didn't dare to be careless. Taking a deep breath, Lin Xian formed a seal with his palm. He used the great emperor's abilities, including the Rinnegan and the yin-yang diagram. Chapter 5496. Two extremely terrifying flames suddenly appeared between heaven and earth. One of them enveloped Lin Xian's body, while the other enveloped his soul. Lin Xian felt as though he was about to be annihilated. This was something he had never experienced before. He roared at the sky and resisted with all his might. The entire process did not last long, but Lin Xian felt as though he had experienced thousands of years. Both his soul and body were purified. Lin Xian stood where he was after the two types of flames in the air disappeared. He slowly opened his eyes, which glowed with an astonishing light. The divine flame between his eyebrows had become stronger than before and had formed a divine eye rune that emitted an extremely terrifying power. He had broken through. Lin Xian clenched his fists. After sensing this power, he was delighted. He had broken through to the peak of the great sage realm and was a true divine ancestor. This was the last realm of the sage realm. Any further, and he would be a quasi-emperor. People in this realm were extremely powerful. Lin Xian was even more terrifying. When he had been a sage, he had been able to easily kill a divine ancestor. Now that he had become a divine ancestor, no one in the same realm would be a match for him. In other words, he was almost invincible among those below the emperor level. Lin Xian even felt that he could challenge a quasi-emperor. This challenge was not based on the heaven-devouring jar, an extreme weapon. It was based on its true power. Previously, the light-shaking realm and other enemies were no match for him. He could easily kill them. Perhaps he could send them to hell with a single move. At this thought, he became even more excited. There was still Long Mu. Previously, Long Mu had already surpassed the level of a saint. He had given the other party a glimpse of hope. Long Mu could be said to be the strongest person below the emperor level. However, Lin Xian was now confident that he could use his own strength to kill Long Mu. It was time to go out. Lin Xian took a deep breath and rushed out in a flash. He wanted to return to the divine union. This time, his harvest in the Dragon Emperor's tomb was really bountiful. It had allowed him to break through and increase his strength greatly. More importantly, the dragon soul of the great dragon sword soul had awakened. There was still some energy left in his body, but he did not absorb it. Instead, he gave it to the sword world. He wanted more places in the sword world to recover. Lin Xian's speed was extremely fast. Not long after, he left the Dragon Emperor's ancient tomb. Then, with a wave of his hand, he tore open the void and disappeared. On the other side, Murong Qingqing joined forces with the Z Mansion, Gu clan, and other monarch clans to hunt down Long Mu and the others. Long Mu and the others fled back to the 10,000 Dragon Court, but they didn't relax. It was because they discovered that these Emperor clan people still wanted to attack. These people wanted to attack the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty. This made the people of the dragon race go crazy. Damn it, they resisted with great difficulty. Under the attacks of the extreme weapons, cracks began to appear on the myriad Dragon Dynasty. It was very likely that it would completely shatter because of this. Was the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty going to be the first monarch race to be eliminated? Long Mu and the others didn't dare to imagine. On the other side, a shocking battle was about to break out in wholly distant ancient city. 2 days had passed, and everyone was nervous, because they knew that the battle between Yan Ryu and Zi Ming was about to begin. Everyone was puzzled. Could Yan Ryu really withstand it? After all, the one who attacked was a Triple Crown King. Zi Ming looked forward and said, 2 days have passed. Make your move. Yan Ryu took a deep breath and walked out. Although he knew that he wasn't a match for the other party, he had to fight this battle. There was no way out. He slapped out with his palm, which turned into palm shadows that filled the sky, and charged forward. Zi Ming snorted coldly. He formed the purple sky underworld palm and waved it forward. At this moment, the palm shadows in the sky turned into green lotuses that bloomed all over the ground. Lotuses bloomed with every step. The sky was filled with lotuses. This wasn't an extreme weapon, but Yan Ruiyu's bloodline. Although he wasn't from hell, he was the descendant of a great emperor. His bloodline was also very terrifying. Feeling this attack, the surrounding people also exclaimed in surprise. This Yan Ruiyu wasn't simple. She was definitely a top-notch prodigy. Such strength was extremely terrifying even among the Double Crown champions. There were only a few people who could contend with her. However, it was a pity. With such strength, she could definitely win against other sacred lords. However, if he was facing purple underworld, then it was impossible. Zi Ming's purple palm swept out and slapped the sky full of green lotuses. The whole world shook violently. The green lotuses in the sky were shattered. They couldn't withstand it at all. Yan Ruyu's face was pale. She retreated and spat out a mouthful of blood. Her body fell from the sky. Below, Shangguan Shaoxian quickly flew up and caught Yan Ryu. How are you? Sister Ryu, are you okay? The surrounding people of the Divine Union were also nervous. They were shocked. Yan Ryu was so terrifying. However, she couldn't even withstand a single attack. The surrounding people shook their heads and sighed. It seemed like it was just as they thought. She couldn't do it. Zi Ming snorted coldly. He waved his sleeves, and the purple lightning that filled the sky shot down toward the ground. Not good. He was going to kill her. The spectators exclaimed. The pupils of the Divine Union's people shrank. Yan Ryu shouted angrily, "All of you back off." He rushed up to the sky to block the attack. With the green lotuses on his body, he was even more terrifying. He seemed to have turned into a lotus and stood between heaven and earth, blocking the lightning in the sky. However, he was injured even more severely. You are indeed very scary. However, it's a pity that you are no match for me. A purple spear appeared in Zi Ming's hand, and he walked forward. He arrived in front of Yan Ryu and raised his right hand, thrusting it forward. Not good. Everyone was shocked at the scene, and their faces were filled with fear. Was Yan Ryu going to die? No. The people of the Divine Union rushed up, but they were sent flying by Zi Ming's palm. The gap was too big. Yan Ruiyu's pupils shrank. He wanted to retreat. However, he realized that he couldn't do it in front of his opponent. His strength was completely suppressed. The purple spear fell and turned into lightning. It was about to pierce through Yan Ruyu's body. However, the void beside Yan Ryu shattered, and a figure appeared. Then a palm grabbed forward. A clanging sound was heard as the palm grabbed the purple spear. The sky was filled with lightning and thunder, making a roaring sound. Yan Ryu was enveloped by this force. However, another hand abruptly appeared and protected it. Countless black holes appeared between heaven and earth. Everyone sighed. Was he dead? The people of the Divine Union exclaimed. No. The people of the Purple Mansion sneered. Yan Ryu was Lin Wudi's woman. They wondered what Lin Wudi's expression would be when he found out about her death. Chapter 5497. The black hole in the sky slowly disappeared. Everyone looked over and saw that Yan Ryu had already turned into a bloody mist. However, when they looked up at the sky, they were stunned. They realized that it wasn't her. When they saw Yan Ryu's figure, their eyes widened. How could this be? She was still alive. The people from the Purple Mansion were stunned. Everyone else was shocked. Even the people from the Divine Union were stunned. In the next moment, they cheered. This was great. That was impossible. Some of the stronger divine ancestors frowned and looked over carefully. Hold on. Why was there another person beside Yen Ryu? Who was that? At that moment, everyone realized that Yen Ryu was pale. It seemed like she couldn't resist at all. However, he had managed to survive because a figure had appeared beside him. A godlike figure had helped her block the attack. That figure had grabbed the purple spear with one hand. Ming was also stunned. He hadn't expected someone to block his attack at the last moment. He looked at the figure in front of him and asked, "Who are you? How dare you block me?" The voice said coldly. It was Lin Xian, Lin Wudi. The crowd was in an uproar. Was this Lin Wudi? They were stunned. How could this be? Why do I feel that his aura is different? He was much more powerful than before. This was really Lin Wudi. Countless exclamations were heard. The people from the Divine Union were ecstatic. This was great. Boss Lin. Their boss Lin had returned. Even Yen Ryu was shocked. She could feel that Lin Xian's body contained a terrifying power. That power shocked her. It didn't lose out to the Triple Crown champion in front of her at all. This was great. Did you break through? She naturally knew that Lin Xian had been in the deepest part of the Dragon Emperor's ancient tomb with the Dragon Emperor's ancient coffin. He must have had a fortuitous encounter. Lin Xian nodded and sent a wave of power into Yen Ryu's body. He said, "You have suffered before. Leave the rest to me. Don't worry, I will kill him and avenge you and the people from the Divine Union." Lin Xian waved his hand and sent Yen Ryu down. Then he looked at the people from the Divine Union, the savage wilderness ancestor and the others. "Everyone leave it to me. Lin Xian, be careful. He's the Triple Crown King." Savage ancestor warned. Fantasy world ancestor also gritted his teeth. He was too strong. She had defeated him in one move. "If you can't withstand it, don't try to be brave." Lin Xian said, "Don't worry, I'll be fine." Triple Crown? He was a suitable opponent. After she finished speaking, she turned her head and looked in front of her. "You're the 3-crown champion of the Z government?" "That's right, so you're Lin Wudi. I thought you were some earth-shattering figure. So you're just an ordinary young man. You've always been hiding behind a woman and didn't dare to come out. Why do you dare to come out now? Are you going to kneel down and beg me?" He laughed complacently. The people from the Violet Palace harumphed coldly. So what if Lin Wudi had come? Lin Wudi was only slightly stronger than a light, shaking realm cultivator. It was just a double champion. Their opponent this time was a Triple Crown champion, someone who was far more powerful than a light, shaking realm cultivator. Lin Xian's expression was cold as she said, "I won't let you off for attacking the Divine Union. Kneel down and accept your death." Once these words were spoken, the surrounding people were stunned. What was this brat saying? He was threatening the Triple Crown champion. The people from the Violet Palace laughed coldly. "Brat, are you an idiot? Look clearly at who is standing in front of you. No matter who it is, anyone who attacks my friend will die without a doubt." Lin Xian's voice was filled with incomparable killing intent. "Stupid thing." Ming was also angry after hearing this. "So you're not only arrogant, but you're also an idiot. Do you think you're very strong? Do you think you're high and mighty because you took first place in the dragon transformation trial? Unfortunately, your old opponent, a light-shaking realm cultivator, couldn't even take a single blow from me. You're stronger than a light-shaking realm cultivator. But how much stronger can you be? In my eyes, you're just an ant. I can kill you with a single blow." As he spoke, he waved his arm, and the purple spear exploded forth once again, stabbing towards Lin Xian. Lin Wudi was dead for sure. Countless people cried out in alarm. The people from the Divine Union became nervous once again. Only Yen Ryu was looking forward to it, because he could feel an extremely strong power in Lin Xian's body. Just wait and see. These people would be shocked. Lin Xian's eyes lit up as he watched the incoming attack. He reached out at lightning speed, grabbing hold of the purple spear once again and waving it forcefully. With a clang, the purple spear broke into two halves. A vast force spread out in all directions with the two of them as the center. With a loud boom, the sky collapsed and the earth cracked. Ziming was forced back, his blood churning. The other people were also dumbfounded when they saw the scene. What had they just seen? Lin Wuyi had actually blocked the Triple Crown champion's attack. Lin Xian threw the broken purple spear far away and sneered. "I'm an ant. You only need a single blow to kill me? Can you do that?" Shocking. Incomparably shocking. How strong was Ziming? He had defeated the light-shaking realm cultivator and Yen Ryu with a single blow. He had even defeated the fantasy world patriarch and the savage wilderness patriarch. The entire divine union hadn't been able to take a single blow from him. Such a person was extremely strong. Everyone thought that he was invincible. Even though Lin Xian had arrived, they knew that Lin Xian was dead for sure. Nobody could contend against the Triple Crown champion. However, Lin Xian had done it. Lin Xian had blocked the Triple Crown champion's attack. Was he really Lin Wuyi? I'm not dreaming, am I? The surrounding people were shocked. Even the people from the Divine Union were stunned. Did Boss Lin's strength become stronger again? Yen Ryu was equally shocked. She knew that Lin Xian had become stronger, but this level of strength had exceeded her expectations. It seemed like Lin Xian had really broken through a major boundary this time. "Damn, brat, I never expected that you would actually hide your strength. This is really beyond my expectations. However, you have already angered me. I can guarantee that you will be very miserable." Ziming's expression was also extremely cold. His eyes were filled with killing intent. As the Triple Crown champion, he wouldn't allow anyone to challenge him. There was only one outcome for anyone who dared to challenge him: death. Lin Xian shook his head. "Don't you get it? You can defeat a light-shaking realm cultivator with a single blow, but you can't defeat me. I'm no longer the same person as before. Don't compare trash like the light-shaking realm cultivator to me. After all, I only need one blow to defeat Yao Guang." "What?" Countless people exclaimed when they heard this. Lin Wuyi only needed one blow to defeat a light-shaking realm cultivator? Heavens, could it be that he had broken through? He seemed to have gone to the Dragon King's ancient tomb. Could he have obtained a huge opportunity there and broken through to become the Triple Crown champion? Otherwise, why would he say such a thing? Exclamations of surprise rang out one after another. The savage wilderness patriarch, the fantasy world patriarch, and the others were also shocked when they heard this. Then they smiled. Chapter 5498. It seems that we have underestimated this little guy. Fantasy World Patriarch smiled bitterly. Savage Wilderness Patriarch also nodded. That's right. He had never been defeated before. This time it was up to him. Everyone was looking forward to it. Was Lin Wuyi going to fight the Triple Crown King? Lin Xian's aura became incomparably terrifying. In the next moment he attacked. He took a step forward and the world shook. He punched out. This punch was like a primordial spring that swept through the world. Everyone's scalps went numb. This power was truly too shocking. Even Ziming's pupils shrank abruptly. Damn it, he also struck out with his palm. The two collided and he was sent flying. He knocked over dozens of mountains in a row before he stopped and fell into the ruins. Countless people were in an uproar. Heavens, he actually sent the Triple Crown King flying. This was too unbelievable. Impossible. Lord Ziming. The people from the Purple Mansion were also stunned. The Triple Crown King was sent flying with a single punch? How did Lin Wuyi become so powerful? How long had it been? How did he break through to such a level? What had he experienced? At this moment, the world was in an uproar. Everyone was stunned. Lin Xian retracted his fist and sneered. The Triple Crown King was just SOSO. His eyes flashed with a cold light. He was too powerful. Was this the power that the divine flame seed gave him after breaking through? Sending the Triple Crown King flying with a single punch made him seem invincible in the world. With a boom, the mountains and the sky shattered. Zi Ming flew over. His face was terrifyingly dark. He had never thought that someone could contend against him. Moreover, he was sent flying. This was a slap to his face. He roared, "Brat, you have completely angered me." As soon as he finished speaking, he formed a seal with his palms, and a huge shadow appeared behind him. The shadow was like a savage beast. However, that wasn't the case. That was a purple furnace with endless demonic beasts engraved on it, spiraling about. The moment it appeared, it destroyed the world. Go to hell. This was a peerless divine ability. The furnace was formed by the combination of the power of Purple Heaven and Earth Fiend. It was enough to suppress and destroy everything. It seemed that Zi Ming was really angry this time. He wanted to use his true strength to kill his opponent. Sensing this power, the eyelids of Savage Ancestor and the others twitched. Too strong. It seemed that the other party had not been serious when dealing with them earlier. If the other party had used such an attack right from the start, his soul would have been destroyed long ago. In the face of such power, Lin Xian took a deep breath. He slowly condensed and formed a long sword. Sword Qi whistled as the sword pierced out. Azura sword skill. The shocking murderous aura turned into an eternity between heaven and earth. The sword pierced through the sky. At this moment, everyone's eyes were illuminated by the sword Qi, and they couldn't see anything. Suppress him. Zi Ming roared crazily. The purple furnace that he had summoned collided fiercely with his opponent's attack. He wanted to suppress his opponent's sword Qi. However, this sword strike sent the purple divine furnace flying. Then he slashed at his opponent. Puff! Blood dyed the sky red. Zi Ming was sent flying again. Everyone who saw this scene went crazy. How could this be? The people of the Purple Mansion also knelt on the ground. They couldn't believe it. This was the Triple Crown Champion. As soon as he appeared, he suppressed the light-shaking realm and injured the Grand Elder. After coming here, he had single-handedly swept through the entire Divine Union. No one in the heavens or the earth, no one in the 4 seas or 8 wastelands was his match. This gave the people of the Purple Mansion hope. From now on, they would be able to soar to the sky and stand above everyone. But now, Lin Wudy had come and easily defeated his opponent. This shattered all of their dreams. No, the people of the Purple Mansion roared crazily. In the sky, Lin Xian shook his head and sighed. You've disappointed me too much. Was this all the Triple Crown Champion could do? Lin Xian shook his head. He didn't feel that this was enough. Everyone's scalps went numb. The other party was disappointed. After all, Zi Ming had single-handedly caused all of them to fall into despair. But now, Lin Xian actually said that his opponent was weak. The gap between people was really big. I'm injured. I'm actually injured. On the other side, Zi Ming fell into a sea of blood. He couldn't believe it. He was so arrogant, but now he was injured twice. The first time he was sent flying. The second time his body was split open by a sword. Ah! He roared at the sky as if he had gone crazy. A monstrous, murderous aura rushed out of his body. Lin Wudy, I want you dead. I want you to fall into hell forever. He opened his hands and purple murderous aura condensed, forming a purple gourd. Purple demon gourd. Lin Wudy, come and die. With a roar, the purple demon gourd fell from the sky and formed a huge devouring force. It wanted to swallow Lin Wudy. The surrounding people exclaimed. Heavens! Was this the legendary purple demon gourd? This was an extremely terrifying ability. No matter who it was, once they entered the purple demon gourd, they would instantly turn into a pool of blood. They would no longer exist. Everyone's scalps went numb. It was actually such a terrifying technique. Lin Wuti was in danger. In an instant, Lin Xian was sucked in. Ziming looked up and laughed. Ha! Lin Wuti, you can't even withstand a single blow. I'll make sure you die without a burial place. The surrounding people exclaimed. Oh no, Lin Wuti was sucked in. It was too dangerous. The people of the Divine Union were also nervous. After all, this was the legendary blood demon gourd. However, at this moment, the gourd shook violently. In the next moment, cracks appeared on it. A flame lit up and then swept across the 9 heavens. The sky was filled with divine flames, pulsating. The purple demon gourd disappeared. Lin Xian walked out of the countless divine flames. He said coldly, "This technique is too weak. Do you have any other techniques?" Everyone gasped. Even the Triple Crown champion took 2 steps back. A look of horror appeared in his eyes. How did you come out? You destroyed the purple demon gourd. He was going crazy. He knew how terrifying the purple demon gourd was. Even if he went in, his life would be in danger. Therefore, in his opinion, Lin Wuti had no hope of coming out. But now, Lin Wuti had come out easily and destroyed his purple demon gourd. Damn it! What was that flame just now? Why was he so terrified? The divine ancestors in the distance also said, "Did you feel the power of that flame?" Yes, it was too terrifying. Was that the 9-sun divine flame? Why did it feel like it was going to turn into ashes in an instant? That couldn't be right. It shouldn't be the 9-sun divine flame. Or rather, it should be the 9-sun divine body. Everyone's hair stood on end. The savage wilderness ancestor and the others were also shocked. What kind of flame was that? They didn't know that it wasn't just the 9-sun divine flame. It also had the power of a divine flame seed. This was a power that surpassed the sage realm. Chapter 5499. Lin Xian looked ahead and said coldly, "You've used so many tricks. It's time for you to take one of my moves." He waved his hand, and endless flames condensed into a ray of light that looked like the sun. The flames were too terrifying. Even if the sun descended to the human world, it wouldn't have such power. Everyone's hair stood on end. Lin Xian waved his hand and pushed the sun out. He said that this move was called Sun in the Sky. The sun that was condensed from divine flames spun rapidly in front of him. In an instant, it arrived near Ziming, and the entire void was completely pierced through. This flame was really too strong. There was nothing that could resist it. Ziming also roared in fear. As soon as he got close to the power of the flames, his body was burnt black. He felt as if he was about to melt. No, block it. Endless purple murderous intent condensed on his body, forming a battle armor that emitted a cold power to block it. At the same time, 9 purple spears appeared in his hands again. As he waved them, they pierced through the 9 heavens to resist the sun-like flames. With a boom, he was sent flying. The sun shook gently, and then it shone again. Ziming's body began to melt. It was like a candle in the flames. It couldn't move at all. Puff! He spat out a mouthful of blood. Purple sky, divine thunder. He roared into the sky. Purple clouds filled the sky, and terrifying lightning descended, forming a sea of lightning to block it. But it was useless. Lin Xian unleashed another sun, another attack. The sun shone in the sky, and the terrifying flames illuminated the surroundings. All the lightning melted. In the sea of flames, Ziming screamed crazily. His life was threatened. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air when they saw this. Everyone had retreated to a safe distance. Lin Wuti was too strong. This kind of flame could be called a divine flame. Yes, I'm afraid nothing can resist it. Why do I feel like my holy weapon will turn to ashes in this flame? Countless people's scalps went numb. Some even felt that their weapons were melting. Those people from the Purple Mansion were crazy. How could this be? Ever since Lin Wudy came out, he had been beating the Triple Crown King. But this shouldn't be the case. Shouldn't it be the Triple Crown King beating up Lin Xian? At that moment, a descendant of the Z government said, "Your Excellency Ziming, quickly run away." Lord Violet Shade, please return after discussing this with the manor head. They were really scared. Noisy! Lin Xian coldly snorted. He clapped his hands, and the flames in the sky turned into a golden crow that flew over. It was even more terrifying than the immemorial golden crow. It spread its wings and directly enveloped the people of the Zifu sect. The people from the Zifu sect roared, "Damn it, let's go!" They didn't dare to fight head-on and fled one after another. However, the golden crow grew larger in the wind. It spread its wings and covered millions of miles. The people of the Zifu Palace had no way to escape. In an instant, many people melted and turned into a bloody mist. Shouted the disciples of the Z government. Everyone gathered together to resist. Those people gathered together. These experts were extremely terrifying. They tried to resist together, but they were unable to do so. The golden crow surrounded them, erupting with radiance. Everyone vanished into thin air. When everything disappeared, the heavens and the earth no longer existed. The spectators went crazy when they saw the scene. Dead. Countless Zifu sect experts, including the older generation experts and the disciples of the Z government, died. Just like that, they were turned into ashes. Too strong. This scene was very similar. Previously, Violet Shade had single-handedly defeated the Divine Alliance, and they couldn't fight back. Now, Lin Xian had destroyed countless experts of the Zifu sect with a single move. Was he going to sweep the world with his own strength? Damn it! Violet Shade gritted his teeth and roared. He didn't expect the people he brought to be so useless. They couldn't even block a single move. In fact, he had wrongly blamed the people of the Z government. They weren't useless, but Lin Wudy was too strong. The current Lin Xian was equivalent to Long Mu. He was even more terrifying than Long Mu. One had to know that when Long Mu walked out, the entire world was terrified and couldn't help but kneel down. That was because the power was too strong. The current Lin Xian was even stronger than Long Mu. After all, Long Mu didn't have a divine flame seed, but Lin Xian had one. How could the people of the Z government resist him? Even a remote antiquity family would be easily annihilated in front of Lin Xian. On the other side, Violet Shade used all kinds of techniques and finally tore open the sea of fire and escaped. However, he was in a miserable state. His body was black and smoke was coming out of his head. He looked like a demonic beast that was being roasted. Many people had a strange expression when they saw this scene. Was this really the Triple Crown champion? Lin Xian was also surprised that Violet Shade was able to escape from the sun in the sky. That was really surprising. No wonder he was the Triple Crown champion. That was indeed the case. Violet Shade was definitely a top expert. If he didn't make a move, the other Double Crown champions and the older generation experts wouldn't be a match for him. However, it was a pity that Violet Shade had met him. Lin Xian said, "Do you still have any tricks up your sleeve? If not, I advise you to kneel down and wait for your death. That way, you won't have to suffer so much. Lin Wudy, I really underestimated you. I didn't expect you to be so strong. With your strength, you should be a Triple Crown champion, right? However, you underestimated me too much. I was careless before, and I had just woken up. That's why I was at a disadvantage. Now, I'm serious. I don't believe that I will lose to you." He took a deep breath, and a terrifying light burst out from his eyes. The surrounding people exclaimed. Did the Triple Crown champion still have any tricks up his sleeve? That's impossible. Lin Wudy was already so strong. How could Violet Shade resist him? Countless people shook their heads. Violet Shade snorted coldly. He quickly formed a seal with his palms. The void behind him cracked open, and a black hole appeared. It was as if it was connected to hell. At the same time, the sound of chains could be heard from the black hole. Clang! Clang! 12 chains flew out and wrapped around Violet Shade's body, piercing through his body. Zi Ming's brows were tightly knitted together. His face had become ferocious. His purple blood followed the chains and flew into the black hole. The scene was extremely strange. Everyone was shocked. What was Violet Shade doing? The expressions of savage wilderness ancestor and the others changed drastically. They felt an extremely terrifying aura emerge from the black hole and Violet Shade's body. Fantasy world ancestor also sucked in a breath of cold air. Could it be that this guy had opened the underworld? No way, was this guy crazy? Opening the underworld to make a deal with the death god? Even if he could use the power of the underworld, he would still end up in a miserable state. The two patriarchs were extremely shocked. They thought of an extremely ancient divine ability. They didn't expect Violet Shade to be so crazy. It seemed that Violet Shade had no way out. Chapter 5500. Triple Crown King Zi Ming had used a supreme technique. His eyes glowed with a terrifying light. The chains on his body were incomparably mysterious. An even more terrifying power surged out. At this moment, he seemed to have transformed into a peerless god of death. Everything around him seemed small and insignificant. With a boom, another spear appeared in his hand. The terrifying spear was many times stronger than before. This strike was enough to pierce through any expert. With the spear in hand, he was invincible. He let out a furious roar and charged towards Lin Xian at top speed. Lin Xian snorted coldly. "Let me show you what it means to be invincible." He took a step forward, and his aura instantly erupted. The boundless divine fire was pulsing fiercely. At this moment, Lin Xian seemed to have transformed into a flaming sword god. A sword shadow appeared in his hand. The sword was extremely terrifying. Lin Xian's cold voice rang out. "I have a sword that can cut through the heavens and the underworld." As his voice fell, the sword slashed out. The terrifying sword shadow cut through the heavens, then slashed toward the underworld. At this moment, the entire world was split open, and a pitch-black crack appeared. Everyone looked up at the sky. Seeing this scene, they were shocked. This sword seemed to have become the only thing between heaven and earth. On the other side, Zi Ming roared angrily, "Kill!" The purple battle robe in his hand flew out, and he also used a peerless divine ability. This was an extremely powerful attack. After this, the victor would be decided. Boom! A deafening sound rang out. At this moment, everyone was sent flying. They couldn't fight back. It was too terrifying. Both of them had the strength of a Triple Crown King. Just how high had a Triple Crown King reached? Why did it feel like no one among the Sacred Lords was a match for them? They were probably invincible among the Sacred Lords. Could it be that the Triple Crown King had surpassed the saints? Were these people crazy? Lin Wudy, I won't lose. A frenzied roar rang out between heaven and earth. Purple aura filled the sky. Zi Ming resisted with all his might, while Lin Xian stepped on the 9 heavens. He said coldly, "It was useless. No one can block the sword. This is my invincible sword." Chop! The sky shattered, and heaven and earth split open. The chains on Zi Ming's body shook violently. Suddenly, one of the chains broke apart. Immediately after, the terrifying vortex behind her also shook violently, as if it couldn't withstand it at all. Heavens! Could it be that he's going to break through the power of the underworld? It was really too unbelievable. When the old ancestors saw this, they roared madly. No, the people from the Z government also cried out in alarm. They couldn't believe it. Was that sword really that terrifying? Zi Ming's expression also became extremely ugly. After the first chain on his body broke, the second and third chains broke one after another. He could feel the power of the 9 hells slowly vanishing from his body. This caused him to become terrified. Damn it, what's going on? Why was it like this? The other party had actually broken through the power he had summoned. He was finally terrified. Without this power, he had no way of contending against Lin Xian. Run. While there were still some chains on his body, Ziming used the last of his strength not to attack but to escape. He turned into a purple stream of light and instantly tore through the void, escaping into the distance. Heavens, what's going on? Someone had escaped. That purple light was the purple underworld. No way, the Triple Crown champion of the Z government had actually escaped. This meant that he was no match for Lin Wuti. Countless people cried out in alarm. At this moment, everyone was dumbfounded. They had never imagined that this would actually be the outcome. One had to know that a few days ago, Ziming had been so arrogant. He had trampled the entire Divine Union under his feet. However, a few days later he had escaped. Won. That's great, we won. When the people of the Divine Union saw this, they quickly cheered. Lin Wuti was indeed worthy of his name. He was invincible in heaven and earth. No one was a match for him. Boss Lin had already become the Triple Crown champion? That's for sure, Fu Hongya said. Since the little martial uncle had defeated the Triple Crown champion, he would definitely be the new Triple Crown champion. A Triple Crown champion had appeared in the Divine Union. This was an existence that stood above everything else. In the sky, Lin Xian unsheathed his sword, shattering the heavens and earth. His brows were tightly knitted together. Did he escape? He looked down and said, "Rui, protect the Divine Union. I'll chase after him." After saying that, Lin Xian stomped his feet and soared into the sky, chasing after Lin Wuti. When the spectators saw this, they gasped. What the hell? What's going on? Lin Wuti had actually chased after Lin Wuti. Could it be that he intended to completely eliminate Lin Wuti? If a Triple Crown champion fell, the storm it would cause would definitely be unimaginable. Kid, he must have escaped back to the Z government. I'll use the power of the earth to cut off his escape route. I'll leave the rest to you. The Crimson Dragon roared angrily. It transformed into a 300-meter tall figure and roared at the sky. It brandished its dragon claws and executed the earthly scripture to an extremely terrifying extent. At this moment, it had unleashed all its power. The earth shook as a terrifying force spread rapidly under the ground. Everyone felt the ancient city shake before they could no longer feel it. What had happened? They did not know that in a faraway place on the path to the Z government, the earth had split open and countless stone tablets had emerged from the ground. They had directly suppressed this part of the world, forming a boundary. This was a technique of the Geomaster. They could control the earth's spirit veins for their own use. However, this distance was very far. Given the Crimson Dragon's current strength, it could only use this technique once. In the Divine Union, the Crimson Dragon flew down from the sky. He had no more power in his body, so he hurriedly swallowed an elixir. He looked up at the sky and said, "I can only do this much. The rest is up to you." In the sky, a purple streak of light flew out. It was Ziming. Ziming's face turned ugly. This time, not only had he been defeated, but he had also been seriously injured. This was something he had never expected. Damn it, Lin Wuti, just you wait. Once I recover from my injuries, I'll definitely tear you to pieces. He attributed his defeat this time to carelessness. He had never imagined that Lin Wuti would actually have the power of a Triple Crown champion. Otherwise, he would have gone all out at the start and destroyed the Divine Union. If he had used a few important figures in the Divine Union to threaten Lin Wuti, the situation would not have turned out this way. Now he was prepared to return to the Z government and recover fully. Once he recovered, he would come back to take revenge. However, all of a sudden he froze. This was because he realized that the world in front of him had changed greatly. It was no longer a flat plain. Instead, stone steels appeared. Countless stone steels formed a barrier that blocked his path. You're tuning in to the Thunder Spear YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.